Welcome to the Menace the Menace. Is it the Menace the Menace or just the Menace the Menace podcast?
Menace the Menace.
Or just Menace the Menace. It's not even Menace the Menace podcast. It's
just Menace the Menace.
Menace the Menace, because we might get a show one day, like a real Netflix special or something. Or so we got to take the word podcast out.
That's
Welcome
true.
to Menace the Menace, where all your dreams will come true. No, that was stupid. Okay.
Wrong.
when you ask me to do an intro, I suck. But like,
Dennis,
if you don't ask me to do an
But
intro,
I'm gonna
then it's
ask
totally
you like
fine.
every time. So just get like a template in your mind, you know?
I should. But I don't want it to be the same every time.
It doesn't have to be the same, but okay. So check it out. That was Dennis's intro. Thank you for showing up. Like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff for the
And
algorithm.
Like,
and share.
subscribe, share, follow, write us letters, emails, text messages, send money. What else? Food. Why is my
There
mom
you go.
calling me? My mom's calling me right now. Should I-
Mama, do you want to take it? Put it on speaker so we could hear.
No, she's gonna be like, "Che podcast, che podcast, che dice noi la biserica."
Okay, Dennis,
Yeah.
I'm your mom. You're you, okay?
Oh no.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hey, mama. That's what I say.
That's how you respond to your mom?
I go, "Hey, mama." Or
Really?
sometimes I say, "Hey, Booney," or I say, "Can I call her Booney?" Because she's really old now. So Booney means
Oh.
grandma, you know.
Uh-huh.
And my daughter calls her Booney. So every time, she
Oh.
calls, I'm like, "Hey, Booney." We all call her Booney now. It's weird. And I call my dad Papa, which is not weird, I
That's
guess.
cool.
Or
No,
I don't know.
Papa's
Maybe
not
that's weird too. I don't know.
No, why would that be bad?
For me,
Okay.
'cause it-
Hey, ring, ring, ring.
Hey, mama.
Dennis,
How are you, my beautiful mom?
Mavos,
Dawood.
I speak English.
A
You
little
hear-
bit, you do.
You hear me?
Yeah, go back to Romanian.
You are hearing me?
I'm hearing you. Yes, Mom. How are you today?
I love you.
What did you do today, Mom?
I eat fish.
It's actually spot on. They eat fish all the time. I swear, my parents live like, I don't know, man. My dad, like, straight up, he fishes all the time. That's all he
Really?
talks about. Like, yeah, he's like, Denise, I have some crappie at home. He likes crappie is a really good fish, actually. And he always talks about the crappie he has at home.
Wow.
And,
In Arizona?
Yeah, and he's got a huge refrigerator in the garage, like just for fish, and it stinks so
Dude,
bad.
that's awesome.
I got him one of those like wrap, those saran wrap thing, or those air, take the air out of it, whatever those called. So he knows how to use it now, so he does that. He like wraps everything.
Dude, that's awesome. Good for
Yeah,
him.
he's amazing. Yeah, they're
I'm
old,
going-
man. My dad's gonna be 80 in September.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom's 77 or something. Yeah, in June.
Dude,
So-
I don't even know how old my parents are. They're somewhere around there. Not
No.
80. No, my dad, dude, I think my dad's.
They're not even in their 70s. No,
My
are
dad's
they?
got to be 70.
When did he have you? Do you know?
Or my mom's got to be 70. I don't know. I think my dad had. Actually, I don't know. I
thought your
don't
parents
know.
were a lot younger, like a lot younger.
No, dude, my dad. I know for a fact my dad's either like 69 or 70, something like that.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't want to be that old. I don't want to get there, man. I really don't. What's the point?
I feel
I
like
mean-
the only thing worth living at that point is like your kids, you know?
Yeah, and I think about that with Annabelle. That's the only thing, right? But she's
Yeah.
gonna be like, all right, let's say, all right, I'm 42. I'll be 43 next month. Let's say another 22 years. She's gonna be, dang, she's gonna be, what's 22 plus 11? That's 33.
33.
So she's gonna be 33. Like,
And you're
she's
going to be how
married,
old?
Kids, 70. Or no, 65.
Dude, yeah, but at that point, like, you've got
65 is not that bad.
you've
I
got
guess.
like grandkids. You've got,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
you're
I'll go,
enjoying
my
that.
cutoff 70. How about 70?
Even then, man, like if you're healthy and you've got grandkids and stuff, like,
I won't be healthy.
oh, really?
That's for sure. That's for sure. My parents are like, they got diabetes, high
Yeah,
blood
but
pressure,
did
gout.
your parents like have the opportunity to like work out, go for a jog? So I'm gonna censor that so we don't get
That's
cut
right.
off.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
but the
That's
word
hilarious.
that I'm censoring is, imagine if this pen had a very fine tip, and then it were to be placed inside of skin.
You don't think the AI bots will censor that? People say, what do they say? Like, and
I'm gonna censor all of that.
They say beep.
Yeah,
beep.
there you go.
You gotta just do random beeps, like while I'm talking, just even when I'm not cursing,
to throw it off.
Random beeps, just
and I was like, Lord, please beep.
It's so good.
I don't know if that's gonna.
Oh man! All right, bro. Listen,
What's
man.
up?
You've been making me wait now for like, I don't know, 2 days now or so. Tell me what is going on with you, dude.
Oh yeah. Hey. Okay.
Man,
okay.
I'm like scared
I mean,
I'm not scared.
I guess I shouldn't have hyped it up or kept you in wait or whatever, you know.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Did you eat something that night?
No. Okay. So let me give a little backstory. And it might not be that big of a deal, but maybe it is. Who knows? So I've had before. What are they called? They're called night terrors. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a psychological, it's documented, like people that aren't Christian get them, people that are Christian get. It's not necessarily a demonic thing, but I also think as like a Christian, I think it can be a demonic thing. You know what I mean? And basically, what night terrors are is like if I'm understanding it correctly, it's almost like you're trapped like in a dream. Like your mind is awake, but your body's like not responsive. You know, it's some weird like middle ground. Like it's an intermediary state where your physical body and your brain aren't like communicating. And so the first time it happened was like, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago, and I was over here in bed. And what's interesting is like I was laying down next to Rebecca, and she was laying down facing me, you know? So when the light was off, I could still make out like a silhouette of her face, you know?
Right.
And then like, I guess I must have dozed off, but I didn't realize I dozed off. And it still looked like I was in my room. Like the window's over there.
Okay.
Rebecca's right next to me. You know, it's dark. Like everything that I was looking at before I closed my eyes and went to sleep was still in front of my eyes, but I'm asleep. Okay. So then like weird stuff starts happening in my room, you know, like things are moving. There's like figures, and I'm still thinking that I'm awake, but I'm asleep, you know? And, dude, even like I'm looking at Rebecca and like her face starts getting like distorted, you know, like, like creepy, man. It was like super creepy. And I start like I start freaking out. And in my dream, I'm like, oh, this is, or in my conscious, you know, whatever it was, I'm like, this is demonic. Something demonic's happening to me right now, you know? And I start trying to like yell, and I could feel everything. Like I could feel my mouth like opening. I could think like scream, you know, but nothing's coming out, you know? I don't know what it would have looked like if Rebecca was awake and watching me. I don't know if my body would have actually been like, you know, or if my eyes were open, or if my eyes was closed. I don't know if my body was responding at all, you know? Okay. But dude, nothing was happening. Like I couldn't react in my dream, even though I'm like panicking, you know? And I literally just like start praying in my dream because my mind is completely lucid, completely, you know? So I would be talking to myself. I'm like, Ben, this is demonic. Ben, you're still asleep. Like, bro, try to wake Rebecca up. Try to shake your body. Try to, you know? So you're completely lucid, but there's nothing you could do because you're sleeping, you know? So I start praying right away. I start calling like on the name of Jesus and stuff in my dream, you know, because that's what I would do. If I was awake and there's some shit in my room.
Oh yeah.
In my corner, I'd be like, oh, Jesus, please help me. You know, that's what I did in my dream. It was the exact same thing, bro. And then like, I don't know, I just wake up, you know, and I wake up and I'm still in my room. Rebecca's still next to me. Exactly what I saw before falling asleep. I was still there, you know, and I'm just like heart's racing.
I was going to ask you, you're like pumping.
Oh yeah. Heart's racing like crazy. And I'm just like still sitting there like praying, you know. The prayer and the words I was saying while I was asleep, I wake up saying them in my head. You know, it's insane. Like literally, it's just your body hasn't caught up with what's happening inside your head. Like your body's just not reacting, even though your brain's thinking those things and saying those things.
And Rebecca was asleep the whole time.
Rebecca was asleep. Why wouldn't she be? I wasn't moving.
Well, right. I'm just,
you know what I mean? Like I wasn't shaking. I wasn't trying to wake her up. It was all in my head, right? So I'm still praying. I'm like, my heart's racing. I just like kind of lay in bed, and I think I started singing a song or something like in my head, you know, just to like calm down. Dude, then I go back to sleep, or I fall back asleep. It took a while, you know.
Sure,
bro.
I'd be so scared to go.
It happens again. I was
no.
Well, I was just sitting there for a while until I fell back asleep. You know, this was like 2-3 in the morning, dude. It happens again. It happens again. Dude. The exact same thing. Things in my room. Rebecca's face starts getting distorted, and I'm instantly like, "Oh my god, it's happening again," you know. And this is demonic. I start praying again. I start like calling on Jesus for help. I just start repeating, like, I think I just started repeating the name of Jesus over and over and over again, you know. Again, I'm like, I'm trying to wake up. I'm trying to tell myself to get up. I'm trying to tell myself to move, to shake Rebecca, maybe, you know, and nothing. And I'm just like, I think I'm just repeating the name of Jesus. And then again, I just open my eyes and I'm back in my room. And in my head, I'm just repeating the name of Jesus, you know? Dude, so that was the first time that like something like that's ever happened. And I've never been like a dream person. I've never been into like visions or anything. Never. My mom was always into that stuff. And I would like, okay, mom, sure. The horse in your dream means like, we don't know what it means. Like nobody knows. You might've just ate spicy food, you know? Dude, so tricky. Yeah. So I actually, I told Rebecca the next morning, you know, and again, listen, there's these things that are psychological that have been documented, and they're called night terrors. And it's exactly kind of what I experienced. Specifically, listen to this. A lot of people, what they say is that they are paralyzed. They're actually, okay, they'll be in bed and they can't move, they can't talk, but they're awake, but they're just frozen in bed. And a lot of people, this is insane. A lot of people say that there seems to be some kind of black, dark figure that sits on their chest as if there's a pressure on their chest holding them down in bed. And this is like...
Did you feel that?
I didn't feel that. No, I didn't feel that at all.
You know, I know Driscoll had that. Driscoll had he had something like that with a dark a figure on him, laying on it, and then he couldn't breathe. Like he talked
that's
about
a night
this
terror.
once. Yeah,
that's a night terror.
Talked about this. I don't remember him saying the words night terror. This was a long time ago, but he was in bed at home, and this fear overcame him, and this like thing was like on his chest, and like he couldn't breathe. And I remember this, and I just remember that because I was like the only time I ever even heard that. But dude, so you didn't experience that part.
So listen, sleep terrors are episodes of screaming, intense fear, and flailing while still asleep, also known as night terrors. Sleep terrors often are paired with sleepwalking, sleepwalking. Sleep terrors are considered a parasomnia, an undesired occurrence during sleep. It might not be night terror. Sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis.
Man.
What is sleep paralysis? While falling asleep or waking up, your brain sends signals that relax muscles in your arms or legs. The result, muscle atonia, helps you remain still during rapid eye movement, REM sleep, which is when you dream. You dream in REM sleep. While sleep paralysis, you regain awareness but can't move. Oh man, and I wish I was screen sharing right now, but there are drawings and images of like dark figures holding people down.
No way.
Yeah. So it's sleep paralysis, not night terrors. Dude, and this kind of sounds, I didn't have anything holding me down, but there was like dark stuff in my room. And like I said, Rebecca's face started getting like distorted, you know.
That's so creepy.
My mom, I told my mom, you know, because I talked to them like once or twice a week out in Romania, and I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh, that's demonic." She's like, "I've had stuff like that before, and you have to pray. You have to pray for God to rid you of that." So that was the first time it happened, and then the second time, dude, do you ever have like super hyper realistic dreams? Or are yours kind of just that like dream state where it's like,
I mean, I've had dreams where like I was falling and then like, you know, like I woke up because I thought I was falling. You know, I had flying dreams when I was like younger, a lot of flying dreams. Those were so dope. I would have so many of them that I would like pretend I was flying as like I was going to sleep so I could try to dream about it.
oh
like,
yeah.
Flying,
Trying to talk yourself into it.
Yeah. And I imagine myself as an X-Man. A lot. I used to watch X-Men
in your dreams.
Yeah, like no, just like before I'd go to sleep, like I would just like get my mind. It was weird. It was like a trick I did, and I would fall asleep. But like I would just imagine like people like breaking in the house, and I would like fight them off with like superpowers.
And was it real, or was it kind of just that airy, dreamy?
No, it was more real. I don't know if I've had like the airy, dreamy stuff. Like I think I had more realistic. Yeah. Like,
interesting.
I've cried in my sleep before. I've only cried in my sleep before, like with like bad stuff happening to Annabelle, my daughter. Like it was weird. Like one time, like she just died, and like we were around or something, and I was just like bawling, and that was
you woke up. You woke up bawling.
Yeah. I was like, I woke up bawling, and I was like, but then I was fine, but. Yeah, I never had anything like you experienced, like not even close. I never really had nightmares. I mean, I guess nightmares you would say if like, yeah, I don't know. I never really had nightmares growing up. Like I would hear like my friends talk about this like growing up and like all this weird, crazy stuff. And I'm just like, bro, I don't have any of that. Like I have like, dreams of playing soccer and like, like singing. I had a lot of dreams about like construction, like when I was in real estate and stuff, like total like when I was married, she said that my ex would say that I would like dream about like doing deals.
Wow, how
yeah,
funny!
She would like hear all this stuff and tell me in the morning.
No way.
Like, yeah.
How
now
funny.
I guess I snore. I think I snore a lot now, which is something new for me because I haven't dreamt in a while. So like really? when I was going through like my really really dark time, I didn't dream at all. I had one dream I remember in 6 years. Just now, people say you're always dreaming because if you hit REM, but I don't think I was hitting REM because I was tired every day and I was like insomnia and stuff.
That may have had to do with
weed.
Yeah, that may, because what I've been hearing is when you're smoking weed, which is odd because a lot of people smoke weed for sleep.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah.
What it does is it knocks you out, but you don't hit REM sleep.
Yeah, so I read that too.
Which is that's why you wouldn't be dreaming.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I did have one dream I remember, and it was like I was taking out my teeth, and and I talked to somebody about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, something bad's gonna happen."
Dude, actually, that's a dream. That's so crazy. I've heard. We could look it up, but I've heard that actually means something, and there's people that have that dream. Like that's a common dream people have where they're pulling their teeth out, and it actually is supposed to mean something like mentally, Well,
they said when I read it, and I even talked to somebody about it, they said that something bad is supposed to happen, and I kid you not, that was right before Annabelle had moved away. And that was like the worst time ever. So I think that might have been it. I don't know, but now I've been dreaming again. So ever since Jesus came. Back in my life.
Wow.
Or I found him. No, ever since I just turned and I looked and he was right there. I'm like, oh, Jesus is there. I've been having dreams again now. I've been sleeping so good.
Wow.
But it's also because I've been waking up early too. I've been on this early thing too, which I've never been in my life. I was never like, I hated waking up early for anything.
That's me. Right
I'd stay up all night though,
That's totally me.
But now I'm waking up, man. Like if 5:30 is the earliest, but like 5:30 is when I wake up.
I really need that.
Dude, I'm telling you, and I've heard this over and over and over again from so many people my whole life, but it's so true, dude. that's like my time with Jesus.
Mm.
My morning routine is I'll get up at 5:30. Sometimes if I'm like up later, like 6:30 is the earliest or the latest kind of I'll wake up. So, but 5:30 is what I've been doing lately, and I'll spend like an hour in bed, praying and reading,
Wow.
and then it's like I just can't get enough. And then I wake up and I get Shuggy ready, my dog, and then we go for what I call a prayer walk, and then I listen to like a book, usually until I get to my prayer bench, and then I'll sit down and I'll turn the book off, and then I have the song that I kind of just like play that kind of preps me for prayer. I don't know, but it's great, and it's this one song I keep it on repeat, and then I just pray. And sometimes I'll turn this song off, sometimes I won't, but I'll just pray. Like, and I just get into such deep prayer, man, like outside on my bench. Like, it's just so incredible, man.
In your head?
Yeah, praying in my head. Sometimes I'll pray out loud a little bit. I found this new bench where there's like more people, because I got kicked out of a different bench because I guess I was on someone's property for a long time, and I had no idea.
Where are all these benches you keep finding?
So I'm right by the beach, so there's like every inlet off a street there that goes to the beach. It's really beautiful.
Okay.
And then they have these little benches, and I found this really, really pretty like bench area. And then like this lady comes out one day, and I was there for like a month. And then this lady would come out like one morning. She's like, "Excuse me, like, what are you doing here?" And I told her, I'm like, "I'm just sitting, praying, meditating, talking to God." And she's like, "Oh, that's weird." That's what she says. And then she's like, I don't mind during the day, but at night it gets a little creepy, because I'd go at night sometimes too.
Okay.
And so like, yeah, I could see how that's creepy. I thought it was a public thing, but it was private. So I found another one, which is actually even better. So it's cool. It worked out for me. And yeah, so that's what I do. I'll go in like a morning, and mostly at night too. And man, it's just been so good. I just connect with Jesus. So, and I pray for anything I could think of. I'll say as long as I can. My morning routines are usually like no less than 2.5 hours.
Wow. For real?
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, Ben, the time
that's
flies.
Incredible.
Like, yeah. I remember hearing people talk about that, and I'm like, dude, how can you do that? I can't even like do 5 minutes. I would like skim through like my devotional. I would just like pray about everything that like I want, and just like I'm not getting any adoration. But now I'm just like a ton of adoration, ton of gratefulness. Like even when you don't feel like it, and then I kind of pause a lot. I wait, and I sit, and I'm telling you, man, the Holy Spirit talks, and he'll bring things to mind. He'll bring people to mind to pray for. And it's not my thoughts. It's really cool. Like I can
differentiate.
Yes. Thank you. Between the two. That's so dumb. And I can tell, like I'll just sit in silence and just, and then something will like come, and it could be like, send this verse to someone. Like I'd be like, okay. And I've been writing a lot too. So I've been writing a ton, which again, I never did in my life. I never journaled. I never did anything. And now I'm just like writing all kinds of things that come out. And then, then I'll put my headphones back on, get back, and then put the book back on, and then walk back. And 3 hours like fly by every morning. I love it.
Dang, I need something like that, man.
Prayer walks, man. Just do it.
Sure.
And do it alone at first. If you and Rebecca want to do it at some point together, that's good. Like it would be good if you did it alone though, and really had your time, and be as vulnerable as you can. Obviously, like what you're doing when you're praying and stuff, but like just be vulnerable, man. He listens to everything. He's there. He's totally just waiting for us to talk to him. That's how I picture God. I picture God like, come on, talk to me. Like not there like, oh, you're talking, like, no, talk to me. I want to hear you. Like, my relationship, my view of God has changed so much, like from this stern, distant being.
Oh yeah, totally.
So disconnected to this.
Well, that's how we're raised.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's exactly
That's how we're raised. We're raised with this idea of God being like a policeman, just waiting to punish you for the next sin you commit.
That's exactly right, dude.
And then it changes once you have an experience like
did you see that Jim Carrey thing?
I did, yeah. I don't know. It was cool. I don't know.
Did you watch the whole thing? Because he said Jesus Christ at the end.
I know. Yeah. I watched that. There's a lot of people that, like spiritual people, that have an admiration for Jesus, but that don't believe in Jesus to be the Savior and to be the Son of God.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of people believe he was just a good teacher. A lot of people, Muslims, believe he was a prophet. You know, but he's subservient to Allah, or what's his name, Muhammad. So it's cool, but it's not, you know, he also says other stuff and believes other stuff, which leads you to think that he might not think Jesus is Savior.
Yeah, I haven't been following him. I don't know. I just saw that.
I've seen some other stuff, but
yeah, I've seen stuff from a while ago, and like some really, really like gnarly stuff, like about like his beliefs and stuff. But I think he was like into New Age too. I don't know.
That's usually the group that believes and uses the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
But not the way.
And they say like, oh
wow. They just have a admiration for him, you know, but they don't believe in him as Savior.
Okay.
They just think that I think he's like a person that has achieved what they're trying to achieve. You know? It's kind of like Mormon now that I think about it.
He was enlightened, right? And he got
exactly.
I got a question for you. Do you, or and I don't know, maybe we can, this conversation will be really short because I just don't, because I'm dumb. But in the Bible, does it specify that angels look similar to human beings?
Yes and no. There's a few accounts where angels appear and they look human, and they eat, and they drink water, and they talk to people. There's accounts where people don't even know that they're angels because, you know, I mean, think about it. If something magical pops up or from another dimension and you see it, and it doesn't look like a human, wouldn't you be like, what the heck is that? But there's accounts where people didn't even know that there was angels before them, you know? Even there's, I think, I forget who says it or where it says it, but it says you have entertained angels and like didn't know
unaware.
It. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of speaking to that. But there's also mentions of angels appearing, and they don't look like us,
right?
You know,
that's why
there's the ones in Ezekiel, where it talks about like cherubim. But listen, the cherubim with faces of men, lions, ox, wings on all 6 wings, eyeballs on all sides, even under their wings, all sorts of weird, crazy stuff, right? But those might be different categories of angels. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like there might be some that look like humans. There might be some that look like 4-faced beings with wings, and you know, because cherubim, I think, are guardians. That's what the Bible says. It says that they're a category of guardian angel. And by guardian angel, I don't mean like, oh, they're watching after us. No, I mean guardian angel as in like they guard the throne room of heaven. They guarded a cherubim with a flaming sword was put, or 2 cherubim with flaming swords was put at the entrance to the Garden of Eden. They're guardians. Satan, are you frozen?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Satan may have or Lucifer may have actually been a guardian cherubim angel, according to, I think it's like Ezekiel 16, where it describes his clothes. Remember, we read this before? Describes the gems, and it says you were appointed a mighty guardian cherubim, you know?
Right.
Pretty crazy. So there might just be different categories. Or
that makes sense.
Or it might just be the form that God allows them to take on for specific tasks or missions, or, you know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah, I asked because of the awe factor, right? Like when an angel appears, like everyone's like falling to their feet, you know.
Not always.
Well, if they don't know that there's an angel, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, so it could be, I think you're right. It could be different categories, or it could be like
there was
different form, shapeshifters.
Yeah, there was an angel that, you know, was on the stone that rolled away at Jesus's tomb.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll say like, oh, don't be afraid, because they're terrified. Then there's other times where there are angels around and they don't even think twice. They're not terrified. They're not full of fear. They don't say, be not afraid. They don't even know that they're angels. It seems more like they might just think they're human. So it's interesting for sure. There's distinctions.
I was going to try to pull up that Instagram, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. That one with all those crazy depictions of what those angels with the eyeballs and the rings around rings, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Those might just be the ones where they take on more humanistic form. Might just be a limiting of their natural state for us to be able to to contemplate or conceive them.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? I don't think that like in the heavenly realm they just look like humans. But I could be wrong. Like I don't know. I'm thinking about this myself. Like, are the things described in certain passages where people have visions into the other dimensions, into the heavenly realm? Is that actually what it looks like 24/7? Or is that just what God allowed them to see in order to verbalize something meaningful, Because again, like if they are in a state of whatever consciousness looks like, their energy existent, it could just be like light, it could just be love. It could love to us looks like, I love you, babe, and I have warm feelings about you.
Right.
Love there can be something like palpable and real, and it could be a state of existence. You know what I mean? Like Brunze, that pastor that we're translating his vision, he says that love is like air in his vision when he had an out-of-body experience.
Can't wait to share that.
He said love is actually something like palpable, and it's like the oxygen we breathe. It's all engulfing, so whatever those beings look like, or actually the state that they exist in, if for example John goes into the heavenly throne room and sees them in their actual state, maybe you couldn't put words to it. And then what good does the revelation of the throne room do anybody if John's like, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? So it's possible. And I'm just thinking out loud. I don't believe this. I'm not saying that. I don't agree with the Bible and don't believe what it says as real. It just might be what God allowed John to see in a manner which he'd be able to understand and express words.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm still thinking about that myself. To me, it doesn't make a difference though.
Oh yeah, no.
It doesn't change anything.
No, for sure. No, I was just thinking about it this week. I was just kind of curious. Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't change anything at all. Nothing. How's everything else, man? How's your week been? Is your back okay?
Everything's good. I'm not on carnivore. Oh, hey, bro, I didn't finish my dream story.
Yeah, dude. As I was like talking, I was like, we got to go back to that. So
okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, not you. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're sorry.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I asked you if you've had like realistic dreams.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then a few days ago, maybe about a week ago when it happened, dude, I had this dream where it was like hyper realistic, and it just felt super, super real. And the difference for me between a realistic dream and a non-realistic dream is when I wake up, if I can remember it vividly, and when I'm in my dream, I'm logical.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking in my dream.
Right.
And my dream is unfolding and I'm doing exactly what I would have done in real life. That to me is like a hyper realistic dream. You know what I mean? It's not just like amorphous and I'm like floating around and like, you know, and then different scenes change and I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
No, not that. That's not what I'm talking about. Like this dream that I had, and it was pretty trippy. And I've had one other dream like this that was super, super, super realistic. And it was after I stopped smoking weed completely, you know? And I think what happens is they actually say that once you stop, your REM sleep, your body tries to make up its REM sleep. So you have crazy vivid dreams. Okay. And what a coincidence that, remember we were talking to Lucas and I'm like, bro, I had a dream about a movie. Like I dreamed an entire movie. Yeah. It was that. It was my hyper realistic, crazy REM sleep trying to catch back up. And I watched an entire movie in my dream from start to finish with a narrative, with character development, this beautiful storyline. Like I woke up and I'm like, it was the craziest thing I've ever, bro. It was, my dream was the craziest experience. I remember all of it. And when I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, that movie was amazing.
2 thumbs up.
I'm not even kidding. I woke up, I wrote it down because I'm like, dude, somebody's got to make this. Yeah, somebody's got to make this. Oh my God. Like I'll it's been a while, so I'll have to like read it to refresh my mind completely. But bro, it was like a World War II setting. Okay. It was a World War II setting. It was a story about a Japanese immigrant. Listen to this crap, bro. Hey, and I watched it. I literally, it was as if I sat in front of a TV and just watched this whole thing. And I'm talking, like, I'm just going to speak generically because I'm trying to recall it, you know?
Sure.
But imagine everything I say with detail, with emotion, with dialogue, with, you know, it was the craziest thing ever. And, okay, so it's World War II. There's this Japanese immigrant who flees Japan because they're getting destroyed, or they're at war, or something's happening, you know, they're messed up too, or he doesn't agree with what the Japanese were doing, something like that. Okay. And he flees to America, and he's got a young daughter, maybe like 8 years old. And he also brought his father, who's got dementia, and he's an old man, you know? And so he's trying to care for his father who's got dementia. He's also trying to raise this daughter, and his wife, I think, died in the war. Okay. Somehow she died. And this guy ran a little restaurant. This is the craziest thing. Listen to me.
She died.
Hey, she died in the war. I don't know how, but I know she died in the war. Okay. And it was very emotional. And listen, this was his background. This guy, his wife died, has a father who has dementia, has this daughter. They moved to America. In Japan, he had a restaurant, and he ran a little restaurant before the war. Okay. And then when he came here, he didn't know anything else. So he started a restaurant. Okay. Wow. And he freaking runs this restaurant. And then the grandfather stays at home, but grandfather has problems too because of the dementia, you know? And there's a family that comes in. This is so crazy. It makes no sense. Like there's a family that visits this guy's restaurant every week. They'll come in, and the family orders the exact same thing. There's a young boy about the daughter's age. They're always off in the corner playing. The husband and the wife come in, and dude, listen to me. This is insane. The husband and the wife come in, and they like know the owner. The owner sits down, talks to them. They're friends, you know. The family checks in on him, asks how he's doing, because people didn't like the Japanese during World War II. And there's a lot of other people that came to the restaurant and were like racist and like Jap and blah, 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 you know? So this guy's constantly like in a state of like anxiety and being in America, but he's safe, you know, but there's a lot of hatred towards him. His daughter gets like crap too from other kids in the neighborhood.
Dude, this is so involved, man.
It's the craziest. I'm telling you, there was like character development. There's a narrative like for each of them.
Like, is there like a lesson here, or what?
Yeah. Listen. There's an ending. I'm telling you, there's a beginning to the story, and then there's an end to the movie. Okay, and
it's like a plot and stuff, like
bro. And listen,
like a good guy, bad guy, whatever those are called.
These the kids I told you would always be off in the corner, you know, like playing and like stuff. And they would always go in the restaurant. They always had, even though it's not Japanese now that I think about it, but they would have fortune cookies on the plates, you know?
Okay.
And the kids, while the parents were talking and stuff, the kids would always go sneak a fortune cookie, you know, and like be in the corner, like eating the cookie together, you know, that was their little thing. And then, dude, I have to read if anything happens between this, but this is what I remember. One time this family comes in and the dad is like, oh, we'll get the usual, you know, I forget the guy's name. Let's say it's like, I don't know, Kim, you know, like Kim, we'll get the usual. Yeah. So the guy's in the back, he cooks it up and he brings out the food. Remember, they always order the exact same thing, right?
Right.
And so he brings out the food and he gives a plate to the wife and he gives another plate to the dad. Right. And the dad's like, oh, Kim, what is this? You know, this isn't what I usually get. And Kim is like, yes, it is. That's what you always get, you know? And he's like, no, it's not. Like, this is blah, blah, blah. I always get blah, blah, blah. And like I don't know if you remember, but like in movies where older Japanese people are portrayed, they're always like very stern and very proud and very, you know? Yes. And he's like, no, that's what you always get. I bring it to you every time, you know? And they get in like an argument where they're like, the family's finally like, let's get out of here. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. Let's get out of here, you know? And the Kim guy is very proud and won't like say he's sorry or anything like that, you know? Shoot, now it's starting to freaking fade, man. I got to read it again. But what ends up happening is because of the racism, because of like the hatred that this guy's always experiencing, he's like, and now he just lost his most, like his patron, you know, his most sincere patron,
right, yeah,
who's also his friend. And like that kind of held him in place in the community. Like that's why they stuck around. I'm telling you, this is insane. This is a dream. I watched it.
Dude, how long were you asleep for?
I don't know how much time transpired. I have no idea. But this all happened. I know.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so now that guy's gone, he's like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be. I'm moving back to Japan. Whatever happens to me happens to me. There's no place for me anymore. Okay, so he packs his stuff up and gets his daughter, gets the grandfather again, and they go to the train station. Okay, and the dad and the grandfather are already on the train. While they're there waiting for it to take off, that other family comes back to the restaurant and it's closed. Okay, because he closed the restaurant.
Right.
They felt bad and wanted to come and make amends, you know? And so they come on the same day they always do, and that's the same day that this guy's on the train getting back to the ship or whatever, going to the ship, right, to go back to Japan. Right. And it's closed, and somebody tells him like, oh, Kim's on his way to the train, they're going back, you know? Right, so this family sprints off. The little kid, being a little more vigorous, he gets there ahead of time, and he sees the daughter like about to get on the train, yells out like, oh, Lang or whatever, you know? They see each other, they reconnect. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry you're leaving. Like, oh, I'm going to miss you so much. They're crying and stuff. It's insane. They're crying and stuff. And they're kind of like, it's also the story, aside from being about the parents and their like friendship, the story's really, in the movie, the story was really focused on the friendship of these two kids. You know, that was kind of like the angle through which they told this other story about the family and about the war and all. Crazy. And so the kids reconnect. The parents are like still trying to get there. The whistle's blowing, you know. And I think the parents, when they looked inside the restaurant, there was a bunch of stuff that was like left, like stuff that was important, but it was almost like it was forgotten, you know? And the kids are reconnecting. The kids are sitting there like crying and talking about their friendship, and they'll miss each other and like, oh, I'll wait for you. And, you know, like really cute. And there's just so happens to be some kind of like Chinese little restaurant or something at the train station.
Okay.
And guess what's on the freaking plates? Fortune cookies.
Oh my
And the kids,
goodness.
this is insane. The kids freaking go and have like one last fortune cookie together while they're crying because that was their thing. You know what I mean? And the steam, like, choo-choo, the train things, Kim's out the window like, Lang, let's go. And I think she told him that like father has not been himself lately or something like that. Okay. And she runs to the train. The train takes off. Right then the parents get there, you know, and see the train taking off, and the son's standing there all by himself with like his half of a fortune cookie.
Oh, no way.
You know, dude, it's insane. And the parents are like, they start crying because they didn't get to say goodbye and ask for forgiveness from this proud man, you know. And he's now going, he's probably going to die. He's going back to freaking Japan, World War II status, you know, might go get freaking Hiroshima nuked or something. And they ask the kid, like, what did she say? You know, and he's like, they're going back to Japan. The dad refuses to see you anymore. He won't ask for forgiveness because he's proud. You know, he's that Japanese proud guy. But she said that he hasn't been himself lately and he keeps forgetting things. And then it hits the parents. He's got dementia, just like his father. Bro!
How is this a dream? That was like a book.
I don't know.
That was a straight up
I'm
book.
telling you, it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And listen to me. I saw it. There was like people, and there was a narrative, and there's a beginning and an end. There's like a reason that this is happening. It all culminates in the fact that the dad is losing his mind. That's why he didn't bring him the meal that he had. That's why he forgot stuff at the house. You see what I'm saying? But because he's so proud and it's in his culture, you know, the guy wouldn't like ask for forgiveness, and he missed them. He loved this family, but he just couldn't bring himself to do it. And he was probably also losing his mind too. You know what I mean? Dude, how insane is that?
This is the craziest dream I've ever heard in my life.
And I saw it unfold. It wasn't like a stupid dream where everything's really like ambiguous and like fuzzy. And you
remember it so
a
clearly.
movie.
It's so cool.
And I've got it written down. There's other details that I guarantee you. I haven't read it in, you know, since I've had it. That's just what I remember. Bro, I saw it. Like, I'm telling you, I saw it. And I woke up and I'm like, that was one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. And somebody should make this.
What? Dude, this is so weird, man. Like, dude, I mean, seriously though, like if you, I don't know, man. I mean, I want to share it with Lucas. I'll send him this, and I'll send him the transcript, you know, from when I woke up and wrote it down. I don't understand how this is a dream.
Okay. So me neither, bro. Me neither. I don't know how that stuff works. But all that to say, that's an example of like a hyper realistic dream for me. Okay.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So then like, So then like a week ago, I have another one. I have another hyper realistic dream. And it was that there was people robbing me at my house here in Boise. Like I see my room, the exact layout of my room. It's nighttime. I'm sleeping in my dream. And I hear some rustling outside my window, which is my garage. My garage is next to the master room here, you know? Okay. And so I pull up the curtain and there's some dudes robbing me, and they knew, dude. And this is what's funny for me. Like I said, a hyper realistic dream is one where everything lines up. Everything makes sense in my mind. Like it's logical. It's as if I'm thinking these things, you know what I mean? And doing things the way I would do them. So I open the curtain. The garage door is busted open, and there's people sticking stuff in their car, in their car. And in my dream, I'm like, how did they know that my garage door is broken? Because my garage door is broken. Okay.
And it's really broken in real life too.
My garage door in real life is broken. Yeah. See, this is what I'm saying. It's in the details, bro. It's in the details. So my garage door is broken, and I'm like, how did they know? They must have seen me opening and closing it manually, and they came, you know? And there's 3 guys. One's a driver. The other 2 are loading stuff up. They see me. in the window because I yell, "Babe, grab the gun," because I've always got a gun right next to my nightstand. Okay. She gets me the gun, or I get the gun, and like I point at the guys and I'm like, "I'm going to shoot you," and they're jumping in the car, they're scrambling. One guy gets out of the door and has a freaking bow and arrow. Okay, this is the only part. This is the only part that's not exactly like I would have planned it. But he shoots. They were white trash, like, which is we've got white trash, and he's got a bow and arrow. Maybe that's the only weapon the guy had. So he shoots it through the freaking window, and it like just misses me, right? So I start popping off. Pop, pop, pop. These guys, one of them's in the car. The car's trying to get away. One guy starts running towards my front door, okay, and just busts in my front door. And for some reason, I went out the window to chase them. And then I see this guy going towards my front door. So I go after him. And I'm like, as I'm running behind him, I think, crap, I should have changed the batteries on my front door lock, because my front door uses batteries because it's an automatic lock. So and I didn't change my batteries for like a week. So it's been dead. So my front door's just been open, and I'm like, shit, I should have changed my batteries.
Hey, that's a lesson.
So I know, man. I'm telling you, I got to fix my doors. I trust people too much here. It's too safe in Boise.
Do you leave your doors open? I mean, I do, but
yeah. We've slept with our doors open plenty.
Yeah. I leave the house sometimes. My door's open. Like, I mean, Shuggy's here, but not like she's gonna do anything.
Yeah. I mean, dude, my neighbor here, 2 of my neighbors have like the code to my house and like come in to take care of my dogs when we're out of town. That's nice. I go to their house when they need help, and
that's nice.
I got keys to my neighbor's house. Like it's awesome, man.
My landlord / neighbor, she'll come back and forth all the time. Like if she'll come get Shuggy. She's great.
Yeah,
and I have the keys.
It's nice to have community and people you trust.
Man. Yeah,
big difference.
It is.
But let me finish this real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, so this guy busts in. I'm behind him, chasing him down. He turns down the hallway from my front door to go towards where Rebecca is in the bedroom. So I'm like, I gotta take this guy out. I don't know what he's doing. I pop him in the hallway. He goes down, and I keep running. I go into the room where Rebecca is. She's screaming, Dude, it's so funny because this is exactly what I would expect to happen. She's screaming, and I'm like, call 911. And I'm out the door looking down the hallway, waiting for this other guy, and I'm like, call 911. And she's like screaming. When Rebecca gets like frustrated, or panicky, like freezes. She just like freezes. She doesn't, And so I throw her my phone. I'm like, call the cops. And she calls 911. But for some reason in my phone, there's a guy named Darren 911. And so she calls 911, but she calls Darren. And she's like, it's calling Darren, like crying. And I'm like, hang up, call the police. So I take the phone from her and I start calling 911. And right then, as I'm like going back towards the front door with the phone, I'm like, there's people in my house. I shot them. You got to come over. Right then, somebody else pops around. Somebody else pops in through the front door. Goodness, and I go back towards Rebecca. I freaking shoot that guy too. He goes down. But this guy's not like dead. He's like crawling. He's crawling towards his buddy that's dead, and he's kind of like moaning on the floor. I come in the room because I'm out of ammo. And what do you know? Next to my nightstand, I got 2 more guns.
2 more guns?
Yeah, in real life. I've got a shotgun ready to go, and I've got an AR ready to go. And I grabbed the freaking shotty because it's got slugs. And I know this in my dream, I got slugs, And I go back in the hallway, and right then I see another guy with like a gun poke around, and I tell him, like, I'm gonna shoot you, get out of the house. And he's like, relax, calm down. And I go back in the room and just like peep around the corner, and I see him scurry into my bathroom. I've got a bathroom in the hallway, and in my dream, I'm like, my bathroom is tile, so these slugs will probably go through, And I poke around and I just see him like kind of come out with his gun. So it's like a standoff down the hallway.
Right.
And I see him jump back behind the doorway. Yeah. And so I aim into the wall and just go, and I just start shooting through the wall, knowing I got slugs and they'll clear drywall and tile, And I hear this guy like, oh. So I'm like, dude, I got him. And I come back into the room, but my shotgun's jammed. and my shotgun always jams because I didn't use good cartridges a few times, and it's really dirty, you know, so it was jamming a lot. I'm like, shit, I should have changed the amp. Like I'm thinking, you know, and he comes, this guy comes into the room, and I'm like backing up trying to get to the AR, which is in my room, you know, and he's got a bulletproof vest on, and I guess the freaking tile and the vest stopped the slugs, which I don't know if that's realistic or not.
I wonder.
But I'm thinking in my head, like, dude, should I risk it and go for the AR, or should I just stay here? And I'm telling Rebecca, I'm like, grab the gun. Like, I don't think he knows that my stuff is jammed. So I'm thinking I could hold him off while she grabs the AR, you know? And he's like, he's got his gun on me, and he's like, relax, man. I'm with Jason. And like, in my head, I'm like, who the hell is Jason? Like, why does that mean anything?
So you don't know Jason. That's so weird.
And then I woke up. So the second I didn't know what was happening, I woke up, you know?
That's so interesting.
It's almost like when it stopped making sense, like my mind snapped out of it. You see what I'm saying? Because up until then, bro, it's like exactly like that movie I described. Like it was happening. Okay. Bro, I wake up, my heart's freaking pounding like crazy. My adrenaline's going, and I'm just like, holy crap, I need to change the batteries to my front door.
Like now. Dude, that's
like right now. I think I woke up and I changed the batteries.
What?
Dude. Hey, I couldn't go back to sleep for like an hour. I was just laying in bed, just like, dude, my adrenaline was going. Like it was, to my mind, it was real. You know what I mean?
You shot some people.
I dropped some dudes, bro.
Right.
And it was wild. So I couldn't go back to sleep. It's probably like 5:30. I get up. I start doing some work. I'm on my computer probably till like 7. And it was Saturday. So we're sleeping in. Rebecca's sleeping in. Like I said, it's probably like 7. I'm like starting to get a little tired. I'm like, I'm going to go back to sleep. You know, I lay back down. I can't really fall asleep right away. But then this is funny. I don't know. This is an hour of me talking about dreams.
This is incredible.
Hey, but then, okay, I end up falling asleep again. And I have another dream where, do you know what lucid dreaming is?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't know.
Okay, check this out. Lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is an experience or achieving conscious awareness of dreaming while still sleeping. Lucid dreams are generally thought to arise for non-lucid dreams in REM sleep, to arise from non-lucid dreams. So you literally just become conscious and aware in your dream, where you're like, oh, I'm dreaming. It's like an inception.
Oh, wow. It's
like an inception.
Cool.
People, you can train yourself to do this. There's stuff all over YouTube where they'll give you techniques. You know how you were saying you would try to think of yourself as a Wolverine or whatever, so that you could dream of you as a superhero.
Yeah.
So there's these techniques where you can wake up in your dreams and you're like, I'm a fly right now, and you just take off.
Do that.
You do whatever you want because you realize you're dreaming. Okay. There's some wires that are crossed. Okay, that your conscious mind wakes up in the dream, and you can control your dream. All right. And apparently you can train yourself. Dude, there's actually accounts of like scientists and billionaires and inventors who trained themselves to lucid dream, and they would wake up in their dreams and continue problem solving and get understanding and solve stuff that during the day they couldn't figure out. And they would wake up and be like, oh, that makes sense, and start writing it down and go and work it out, go invent it.
Bro.
How crazy is that?
Bro, if I could teach myself to do that, that's all I would do all day. I would just sleep. And just
I don't like, I kind of want to try it, but because of my experiences, I'm like, I'm scared, you know, I'm freaking scared to try it.
So before your sleep paralysis, because that's what we're calling it now, right?
Okay, the sleep paralysis was the thing that happened like a year ago, where Rebecca's face started disforming. Gotcha. Nothing has happened since then.
Okay.
Except for Friday night, I had this dream about like a home invasion. Okay. And then I go back to sleep and I have a lucid dream.
So you have a lucid dream on Friday night.
Yeah, on Friday night. So after I go back to sleep, after the home invasion dream, okay, I fall back asleep. It takes like a half hour of me laying in bed. And I have this lucid dream where this one's a little more foggy, you know, more of like a dream state where it's not hyper realistic like the other two I described.
Sure.
But what I recall is that I was like in a familiar bedroom. Like it was somebody's bedroom. It was a friend's bedroom. It looked really familiar. And there were some buddies in there. We're talking. And then this other guy comes in and I start talking to him. And him and I like hit it off. It's like we're old friends. And I'm like, dude, where do I know you from? You know? And we start he tells me, he's like, oh, it's like 2017, you know, I don't know. And we start talking and reminiscing and oh yeah, and memories and this and that. And this goes on for a little while. Like me and this guy are buddies. Like we hit it off. The other guys in the room, they exit through the bedroom door and leave. I don't see them again. But this guy sits there with me and we just have a conversation. And I remember specifically when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, like I just had a conversation with something or somebody. And it was like the way you and I talk, you know, is the way I was talking to this guy and reminiscing and memories and we're friends.
Do you remember like what you guys are talking about?
Okay. At a certain point, I did when I woke up. Okay. But I've forgot since because I should have written it down. Right. But I know that when I woke up, it was very realistic. Like the conversation I had with him, it like,
dang, I wish you knew what
it was something. It was something. Okay. But get this. Okay. So I have this conversation with this guy and he starts telling me something that I'm like, 2017, that was just like 5 years ago. What you're saying right now is before 2017. I'm like, what year did you say that we've known each other? He's like, oh, 2007. I'm like, oh, 2007. That makes more sense. I was this old. And yeah, I could see, I probably know you from over here. And we start talking again. But at some point I'm like, what's your name? And the guy tells me his name. His name was Amnie, Omni. Okay.
Amnie.
Amnie, Omni. And I'm like, Omni, that's such a weird name. Like, I don't remember that. Like, I don't remember ever hearing your name before. And he's like, yeah, that's my name. And for some reason, at that point in time in the dream, I'm like, I'm dreaming. Like, I just woke up, you know, in the dream. And I'm like, dude, I'm dreaming. Like, this is crazy. I can't believe I've been talking to this guy for so long. Like, I'm actually in my dream tripping out the way I would be if I woke up in a dream. Like, I'm lucid. Like, I'm there. Right. And I'm like, dude, whose room is this? Like, I recognize this. Like, I've seen this before. And Omni, then I start talking to the guy. I'm like, dude, I'm dreaming, aren't I? And he's like, yeah, you're dreaming. And I'm like, oh my God. Where did these other guys go? What's beyond in that door? Okay, this part I remember specifically because that's when it became lucid, you know?
Right.
I'm like, what's beyond that door? And he's like, I don't really know. Like, I haven't been through there, but those other guys went through there. It might take you to like another dream. Like you might jump into another dream, you know? And I'm like, dude, and it's crazy. Like, I remember all this stuff, man. And he tells me it might take me to another dream. And I'm like, yeah, but it might also screw this up because I know that I'm awake. Like, I know I'm lucid right now in this dream and we're cool. Like, me and you are hanging out and I like talking to you because we've just had a great conversation.
Right.
And if I go through that door, I'm afraid that I might lose my lucidness, you know, my conscious mind, whatever, and just go into a dream and like, this is over. And I'm like, can I take you with me? And he's like, I don't know. That's never happened. Like, I've never done that. And I'm like, dude, hold on. Usually in dreams, and this is in my dream, and I'm telling this guy, I'm like, usually in dreams, like if you tell yourself something or if you repeat something, or like if you think you're a Marvel character or a superhero, you might dream about it. So I'm like, I'm going to try to remember you in my next dream. And so I'm going to write your name down on my arm. Do you have a marker? And I wrote his name, Omni, on my forearm with a marker. Okay. And he also gave me his business card, which said Omni on it. And I went to put it in my pocket, and I was wearing my gray sweats that I was wearing when I was awake in my kitchen doing work on my computer.
Oh, wow.
I'm wearing the same pants, you know? And out of my pocket, I pull like this little watch that was in my pocket. And I'm like, oh, Omni, check this out. This is from a dream I just had. And I had a dream before with the freaking watch. Like, and I'm like, this is how I know I'm dreaming, is because this is from another dream.
Oh,
okay.
My
And now
goodness, Ben, this
it's
is
insane.
crazy.
This is insane. Okay. And he's like, exactly. You're dreaming. Like, you're good. You're dreaming. And so I take his business card. I put it in my pocket. I'm like, dude, I'm going to remember this. I got you on my arm. Let's go through the door. You know, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Right.
And so we go through the door. It's like a portal, you know, it's just like a bright thing. I go through it and boom, I appear into this other space. I'm like outdoors now. There's a line of people. Everybody's like, you could tell everybody's kind of sad for some reason or upset. There's a guy at the end of the line sitting down, like on a curb, just like smoking a cigarette. And I'm looking around and like Omni's not there, you know? And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh man, where is this? I wonder what's going on. You know, I'm good. You know, I'm lucid. I'm like, I wonder what's going on. Dang, and right then, for some reason, everybody in line kind of like turns and kind of looks at me and starts chanting. Okay. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, oh, this is going to go bad. Like, I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be in a lucid dream anymore.
Yeah.
Because it started getting weird. Everybody started chanting. And I'm like, I want to wake up. I want to wake up. I want to wake up. And I wake up. I'm in bed. I see my ceiling. Rebecca's next to me. My dog's at my feet. I wake up. I'm like, dude, crazy. What a freaking crazy experience. And it's daytime, you know, so the room's like lit. And I'm like, man, I wonder what time it is. And I look over at Rebecca. She's still asleep. I go to try to like move, because the first thing I do every morning is like pick up my phone to see what time it is, you know. I move, but I'm not moving. And I kind of start shaking, but I'm not shaking. And I go and try to say, hey, Rebecca, or like trying to wake up. I'm not making noise. My mouth's moving, but I'm not making noise. Bro, I go like this. I go like this to try to open my eyes. My eyes aren't opening, but I see my room and I see my dog and I see Rebecca. I'm still freaking asleep, but I'm in my room. Okay. And I'm still lucid. I'm still freaking lucid. I'm completely 100% in my mind. Like, oh my God, I'm stuck. Like, I'm stuck in this dream, but I'm in my room. And I start trying to shake my body. Like, in my head, I'm like, start shaking, start screaming. I even tried, like I said, I tried opening my eyes. I'm like, maybe I can shake myself. Like, even though I'm not awake, maybe I could shake my body and my body will respond, and I'll wake Rebecca up and she'll wake me up. But it's not like, nothing's happening. I can't move. I can't anything. I start trying to scream. Nothing's happening.
Wow.
And then, dude, and I'm like, I'm panicking at this point because I'm stuck. Like, I'm consciously stuck in a dream where I should be awake. So I'm like, I'm thinking that movie Inception, where I'm like a bunch of layers in, and now I'm stuck in one of the freaking layers that I should be awake in. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm actually thinking like I might be in trouble. Like I'm thinking like I'm rational like in it. I'm like, dude, I might be in trouble. I might be broken. You know, I might be stuck. Right then, poof, I open my eyes. I'm in my room. I start moving. Rebecca's sleeping next to me. My dog's at my feet. My phone's next to me.
Wow. Ben, this is crazy.
It's light. Hey, it's light out. My room's exactly like I imagined it when I was awake in that dream. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what just happened. I don't know if it was a lucid dream. I don't know if it was sleep paralysis. I don't know if it's demonic attack. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, man, that's what's been going on.
Ben, these are insane. I did not expect to hear all this. This is crazy stuff, man.
And so now when I go to sleep, like that night when I laid down, I'm like, and for the past couple of nights, I've been like really scared to go to sleep, you know? I can see that. I've literally just been I've been falling asleep, just like praying and asking God for protection. 'Cause this time I didn't have like, it it felt like it started getting dark, you
Mhm.
know, like when everybody started chanting.
Yeah.
I also, when I woke up, I also Googled Omni to see if that's anything.
That's what
Dude, I
yeah.
Googled Omni demon. Like,
It's exactly what I wrote too. Oh my
did you
gosh.
really?
Yeah. And I
Okay,
got
I
those.
didn't find anything.
Yeah, I
And you
just
know
got
why I
the
did that? You know why I Googled it? Dude,
right.
another dream I had one time, not that vivid, not a hyper realistic one, but I dreamed that a buddy of mine who, you know, committed suicide
Mm.
because he was going through a lot. And sadly enough, the guy is going through a lot.
Mm.
He committed suicide and he used a specific medication. Okay.
Mm.
And I had never heard of this medication before. I've never heard this word before in my life. But when I woke up, I was like, dude, I got to tell this guy. Like, and guess what? I Googled that word that I've never heard before. It's a medication.
No.
It's a real freaking medication. Okay. I've never heard the word before. Like, it was weird to me when I woke up. I'm like, why? I don't know why I remember this freaking word that I've never heard. And it's a medication. And I texted him. I told him, bro, doesn't mean anything. Just trippy. I had a dream that you killed yourself and you used this drug. I've never heard of this in my life. You know, and we laughed about it together.
Wow.
But
wow.
So that's why I woke up and I freaking Googled Omni and Omni Demon and Omni God. I thought it might have been like a demon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I would have shit a brick if Google returned some kind of like ancient deity or some kind of something worshipped by someone somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have lost it, bro. Because I believe that. I believe that that's real. You know, I believe that you can be like demonically not influenced, but what's it called? Oppressed, you know?
You think that?
And
you think so for Christians?
I know so because I've seen it. I've seen Christians when I was at Mars Hill. I've seen Christians who are demonically oppressed come into the church office, and it's not nice. I left. I got so scared one time I left.
No way.
Like shrieking and like,
wow.
Yeah, like manifestation stuff, bro. I left because I was so freaked out. It was me and another buddy. It was me and another buddy in the church office. The pastors at Mars Hill had a meeting with this guy. I don't even know if it was supposed to be about demon stuff or if that just came out during the meeting. I don't know. But at one point when he started like shrieking and screaming and stuff, me and my buddy both just go like this, look at each other, and I'm like, are they doing demon stuff? He's like, dude, I think so. I'm like, wow, I think I'm gonna go home. And he's like, yeah, I'm leaving. Dang. We both left. We booked it. And then another time, a buddy's wife, him and his wife went in to meet with them about demon stuff. And they're Christian. She's Christian, and she actually would not possessed, but I don't know. My pastors explained it to me at that point. Like you can communicate with the demon that's oppressing people or that's possessing people. Okay. And they would command the demon oppressing this woman, asking her, who are you? What are you here for? Give us your name of Jesus, da 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 da. You know, like they know, they're trained in how to do stuff like this because as Christians we believe this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they said, I think Christians, they can't be possessed.
Yes, yeah.
Right? But they can be oppressed.
Right. That's what I've heard.
You know,
too,
like a demon can be messing with you. It could be, I don't know whatever oppression means, right? Yeah. So they're calling out this demon, like they get its name. They ask, what are you here to do? And the demon said to kill and destroy. And I think this chick's been having like suicidal thoughts, you know, to kill and destroy. And what a coincidence that that's what this demon said was his mission with this chick, you know? Wow. And I think they did some, not casting out or something, but she got better, you know, it stopped. So all that to say, That's why I Googled Omni Demon.
Man, that's great. I know. It's funny. As you were talking about them, I got to find out what this is.
I was scared.
I don't blame you, man.
And now every night before I go to sleep, like I said, I'm kind of scared to go to sleep, which sucks because like I need to sleep.
Yeah,
you know?
dude.
I'm
really sorry, man. That sucks.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Listen, thank God. Every night I've been falling asleep, like praying in my head, you know, and asking for like God to protect me and reminding me that I'm his and that these things don't have any power over us, and asking for protection for me, my wife, my house, you know, cause like you said in your text, and I firmly believe this, bro. I think people that are a problem to the demonic are the ones that are going to be under attack more.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. If you're not a problem, they're going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
You know, cause you're your own worst enemy. They don't need to get in your way, you know? But if you're actively working against them, you might have some problemos, you know? So I don't know if you remember the first time we started this, and I think we were talking to like Ellie and Claudio and stuff too. And I said, like, we need to pray for protection for our families, our homes, or, you know, all of it.
Yeah. I do remember.
And so that's another reason why I was like scared, you know, because it might be happening. Thank God nothing's happened since. Like, if you guys can keep praying for me, that'd be great. For my family and for Dennis and his family, and, you know, because I've been hearing good things about the podcast, and the enemy might not be too happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what came to mind right when as I was texting you. I was just like, man, this is an attack for sure. Like, and I've been, that's actually been happening to my neighbor. Not like in
who just became a Christian.
Yeah. So, and
what's been going on?
It's been a couple weeks like that where she's been. Now it hasn't been like, I wouldn't say like demonic oppression, but things like. She has her family are not believers, right? And they have a lot of there's a lot of difficult situations in her family, in her immediate family. Like pretty much like everyone in her immediate family has gone through some really, really crazy, gnarly stuff. And they're like currently still in it. And then there's some like mental disorder in one of them and stuff. And she's been really feeling like from all angles, like, and so it's been really like derailing her a little bit for like a couple weeks. And
does she know about this?
No, we started talking about
and how it interacts. Okay,
right. So
you gotta fill her in.
We've been talking about it because after like towards the end of the first week when I noticed it.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound really crazy and really weird and far out there, but this is true. You know, you are being attacked. I just said it straight up. Like, you are being attacked by the devil. And she's like, what? And why? And I'm like, because you're God's now, you know, and he had nothing to do with you before, but now, like, you know, and not only that she's God's, but she's being used by God, like in her family.
Exactly.
Like, she told me something so cool this morning. She prayed with her parents for the first time in her life.
Oh my
over the phone for their sister.
That's amazing.
And she's telling me like, and how happy. So we had talked, and then after the second week, it was still kind of continuing. And, well, no, not kind of, but it was continuing. And she's just like, Dennis, I'm so disconnected. Like, I don't know. Like, and she's like kind of freaking out, you know? And, so we spent time in prayer and reading and reminding her, it was just like resetting of the mind and like resetting of like, okay, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you in light of God? Like, who are, you know, what's true? What, you know, all this stuff is just temporary. All this stuff just doesn't even matter. Right. And it's, and that really helped, like that got her mind. And then from then on, like, it was just like freedom. It's like she felt so much freedom, but she was pressing in like into Jesus, like time. That's been the theme of the last couple of weeks for me personally. Spending time with Jesus. Like, bro, I can't stress how important it is. You know, it's funny because over the last few months, especially,
I need it, bro.
Yeah, we all do. I think, you know, over the last few months, especially, there's people that have come into my life from like weird, like different areas, like people I've never talked to before. And, you know, that I've been able to like just talk, and they've been like really going through a lot of stuff. And, you know, and not just that, even like people in my family and people I've known, like who are just struggling with things, you know, and then I always ask, I'm like, so what's your, kind of like, what's your day like? What's your prayer life like? Like,
Yeah.
what's your, are you in, do you feel God's presence in your life at all? And man, every single time, Ben, it's no, I don't really pray. I don't, like, they're getting vulnerable. They're being real. At first, some of them are like, yeah, well, I read and I do this. And I'm just like,
right.
All right, let's talk about that. Like, what are you learning stuff? Like, are you, and so, how intentional are you with your time? And man, every single person that I've talked to, every single one, all across the board, it's, yeah, I don't spend time. I don't, I'm not in God's word. I don't. And, even when I say like God's word, like there's like a stigma for like, I mean, for me, it was like growing up, like, did you read today? Did you, it was always like
right. It's the policeman.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Ben. And, but I see how you can easily get distracted, right? Like little by little.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you look back, like after a week, you're like, shit, dude, I didn't do anything. Like I have been,
right.
And that's something that I think there's this fine line between I need to and I want to. I've tried to live my life and it wasn't going well for me for a long time before, like even like all the really bad stuff started happening in my life. But even like just in my normal like childhood, like my 20s, my 30s, when things were seemingly okay, like I rarely spent time with God. But I always said, if I'm going to spend time, it's because I'm going to want to, like, I want to desire it. And if I don't desire it, then I'm doing it in vain. That's kind of like how I like lived my life. And that's not true. Like that's a bad way to live.
Right.
Because when you actually think about Jesus and like what he really means, go back to like, I think, was it Moses when he said, okay, you guys go in the promised land, but I'm not coming with you. And then Moses is like, no, I'm not going if you're not going. Right. Like, I don't want to go if your presence is not there. Right. Like, I don't want, that's like how we should live our life with everything. Like, God, I'm not doing this if you're not with me. Like, I'm not going there if you're not with me. I know, like, practically, in day to day, I'm not saying like, I'm not going to go to the grocery store if you're not with me, God. Like, I'm not saying that kind of stuff, but like in decisions or, it's are we putting God, and sorry, I shouldn't even have said that. It's not putting God first. It's understanding that he's first, recognizing that he's first. We don't put God first. Yeah. We realize that he's first. We recognize that he is Yahweh, King, Supreme, I think that's a different mindset, right? Like, instead of saying, well, I'm putting God first today. Are you putting God first today? Well, what does that mean? That means that you could put God third or last or whatever, like you can categorize. God's not like that. Like, he's above it all. Like, if we're saying we're putting God first, we're not even putting God first. That's like a prideful thing almost. That's like, oh, you see, God, I'm honoring you. Like, I'm putting you first over everything else. No, it's God, you are first. You are most important. You are everything. You see all, you know all, you hear all, you're in every detail. And having that focus, that switch of mindset, to me has been incredibly helpful, because now it's God is immersed in everything. I mean, in every detail, Ben. I was on my laptop, like, doing something, and I can't even like remember exactly what I was doing at the time, but there was these like little things that were happening, and I said this. I said, God, you're so perfect. And then right after that, something else happened, and I'm like, oh, you're so perfect, dude. 5 times in a row, like, things happen. Like, just I'm at my desk, like in the middle of the day, or like it was kind of in the morning, and I'm just sitting there like doing something, and like it was like one thing after another, like, God, and he's just like there. Ben, we have access to the Creator. Like, I never like thought of this stuff growing up. Like, I was too busy being a Christian. I was too busy, like, putting him first, which I really wasn't.
Okay.
Anyway.
Can I ask you a practical question?
Please.
Okay. So this is a personal matter,
Sure,
I guess.
of course.
I'm not,
Please,
okay, so
go.
I've got a, it's dumb though, but it's also not dumb. I've got a business opportunity.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's
I'm
not
trying
dumb.
to sell.
Okay.
I'm not trying to sell anybody oils, or a subscription to a pyramid model. No, so I've got this thing personally, where somebody approached me, said, "Hey, this is what we're doing. Let me know if you want to be a part of it." I really want to be a part of it, because it's great. I mean, it's really cool, and I want to be a part of it.
Right.
And requires money,
Time.
but no time. No time.
So it's just like an investment. Okay.
Just an investment. And there's two parts. There's an equity aspect, and there's also just a debt aspect where they pay it back with interest. So it's great.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool, and
good.
I really want to be a part of it, and I'm excited about it. But I also want to put God first, and I'm praying about it, and had the meeting with them today. I really want to go forward with it, but how can I know if God wants me to go forward with it?
How much? You don't have very much time, huh? To think about it, until you make a decision. How much?
I could ask how long. That's a good question.
How's Rebecca feel about it?
I think she's okay with it. I've kind of laid it out, but I had the meeting today,
right? So
I need to go over all the details with her. I don't want to do something without her, even though I've done so much without her.
Yeah.
And only after the fact am I like, hey, here's a house, or hey, here's land, or hey,
and I do that too.
Which I don't want to do. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because she deserves to know, and it's her
for sure
money, her future too.
For sure. And good insight, man. I mean, I think women or wives. I think wives have good insight, especially if they're on the same page, as you are with your relationship with Christ and
right.
God. Listen, man. Here's how you'll know. God will tell you. I think he'll tell you. No, I know he'll tell you. You just need to learn how to hear him. I think that's the biggest problem sometimes. Like, God sometimes speaks, like, even when we're not like looking for it, and then we're like, oh, okay, God, like, like we see things, something happens, from someone or.
But what if I don't hear him? Why would, okay, this is another quick question.
Yeah.
If God talks to you in ways that you can't hear him, why do that? Why is that happening? Why not just talk to us the way we can hear him? Like, what? You know what I mean?
Because there's a searching aspect for God. There is he wants us to seek him in these things and to be still and to find him, to actually search what he wants. Because if it's just like, if we just get an answer, we didn't have to really press into him. What he wants more than anything is he wants to be with us. Okay. He wants us with him and him with us. Okay. He doesn't care about the business. He doesn't care about, I mean, obviously he's protecting us. He always gives us what we need, not what we want all the time. But what he wants more than anything is time, and us in his presence and him with us. That's what he wants over everything. So, all these things that we do on earth, like they're, whether investments or whatever it is, going to a new place, moving to a new place, whatever. I believe that God should be in every single detail and should be involved in everything. I really believe that.
Yeah, me too.
But the problem is we don't practice how to hear him. We don't practice by giving time to hear him. And this is, you see, what we do a lot of times is when something comes up, like a decision you have to make, then we're like, oh, we run to God. I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna be with you.
That's me all the time. Yeah, totally.
Trust me, that was me for 42 years. And I'm starting to learn that, like, that's kind of, I mean, think about that, like, from his point of view, right? Like, he's with us. He wants to talk to us. He wants us to hear from him. He wants us to depend on him and rely on him and to have faith in him for all things. Now, we only come to him when there's a decision that we don't know of. So, for example, how about smaller decisions in your life, like that you probably won't even go to God about. And I'm not talking about the really small things, like, what are you gonna eat for breakfast today,
or grocery store,
right? Like, I'm not talking about those things. Although I was driving my truck one time and I was just like, God, I was coming home and I was like, I'm hungry. Where should I eat? I'm so sick. Like AB has Atlantic Beach where I live in Jackson, like has terrible food. It sucks so bad. And like, I don't know what to eat. Like, I don't want to spend a lot of money. Like, what do I eat? And then I'm telling you, man, I like some time passed. I'm like, I just kind of got it out of my head. And then like, I was getting closer. I'm like, okay, God, like really, like what should I eat? I want to know. And I was just talking to him in my truck. It's like weird. And then I'm telling you that he's like, you have frozen pizza at home.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I'm like, you're right. I do. I totally forgot. Like, and I just went home and ordered frozen pizza.
I mean, listen, I would think that God wants you to eat something a little more nutritious.
No, I don't know. Like, again, what I'm trying to say is though, like we shouldn't just run to him when it's like, okay, we need to make a bigger decision.
For sure.
We should be like spending time with him all the time to where when those decisions come up, we know that there's a lot of peace in it. When the decision, go ahead.
I'll give you
peace is the answer.
An example. Yeah, that's true. Okay, sorry. Go.
No. Go ahead. Give me an example.
So peace. I'll have peace.
Yes, you'll have a lot of overwhelming peace in the decision you make. If you feel uneasy about the decision, like even moving forward with it, can I give you an example?
For sure.
When I had, I was looking for jobs, for the longest time, right?
Yeah,
and then you know the situation where there was this job offer that I had, and it was for me to move up to Richmond, Virginia, and it was a lot of money. It was a little bit of a different type of job that I haven't had before, but it was still kind of in my realm. And I was so anxious about it. So anxious. God bless you. Man, I talked to you about it. I talked to Ellie about it. I talked to Emmy about it. I talked to my parents about it, my brother about it, like people at church, my neighbor about it. Like, what should I do? What should I do? And I'm telling you, almost every single person told me to go. Almost every single one of them.
I didn't tell you to go.
No, you didn't tell me to go. But almost every single person told me to go. Like the majority was like, go. And these are like the closest people in my life. And I'm sitting there just like, no, I don't feel good about this at all. Like at all. And I'm praying and I'm pressing into Jesus. And I'm telling you, the whole time he's sitting there, he's like, you know your answer. Like, you know the answer I'm giving you. Like, I'm not giving you my peace. Bro, when I turned it down, overwhelming peace just like flooded in. I felt incredible. Like, I physically felt incredible. Now, fast forward. I got I was interviewing, and I did this 3-interview thing with this group out of Southern California, and it's a job that pays like a fraction of what the other job is paying. It's like, it's embarrassing to even tell you how much I make. It's like so bad, but it's but I'll tell you, like when it came to me and they offered me the job, bro, I had so much peace. Like as I'm reading the offer, I was just like, oh yeah, I need to do this. Like I need to move forward with this, bro. I could go to Home Depot and make more money than this job, but it's not just the job, it's the transition of the job. I worked for myself almost for 20 years. I didn't work for the last like 6 years almost. Like it's hard for me to get back into work, right? And work for someone else, especially, and all this stuff. Like it's difficult. I needed something like so perfect to where it was such an easy transition where it doesn't like rip me away from like my routine. Cause I've been having so much time with Jesus over the last 5 months that I've formed this routine. I mean, Ben, my day was just immersed with Jesus.
Well, yeah, you laid it out. You laid it out, you know, earlier what your routine looks like in the morning.
And that's just the morning. And then you add during the day, like, and I'm praying and I'm reading, I'm taking breaks. I have reminders on my phone. I'm, you know, and at nighttime too. And I'm talking to people like all day long.
I bet your previous self would have went with the money option.
100 million%, because it would have been fear driven, and it wouldn't have been thinking like, what does God really want? But in those times, as I'm like debating. It was all anxiety. And then on the flip side, with this job that I actually took, and I'm working, I started last week Wednesday, bro. It's been incredible. Like, again, the money's not there, but the transition for me to get into work again and start getting used to like being around people and like taking orders and like, you know, like getting back into real estate and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, this is such a nice transition. And the people are so nice. And the time that I have a lot of freedom. They're not micromanaging me. Like it's good. I wish the money was better, but that'll come. Cool. But there's peace. I read the offer letter. Now something else happened. Did I tell you? So this is kind of cool too. And this is, again, prayer, man. Prayer. Can you just, sometimes you get your answer like, boom. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I know what I need to do.
That's kind of what I want. But I've never gotten that.
Yeah. But think about why. Because God's like saying, no, I'm going to hold this. You got to come here, Ben. Come closer to me. Come closer to me. And I'll show you. But you got to
Speaking of coming closer, can you come closer to the camera? Because your light is way better when you're close up.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good. Like that's way brighter.
Okay. Wow. That much.
You know? Do you like how I did that?
Yeah, that was a good. Speaking of
almost as if it was meant to be.
All right, man. But that whole come here, Ben, come closer so I can whisper it in your ear.
That's interesting because, to be honest with you, several times I've gone to sleep, or as I'm falling asleep, like I'm in my head always, constantly. That's just how I am. You know what I mean? Yeah. So as I'm falling asleep, I'm thinking several times this has happened. Like, I need to pray more. And I need to read the Bible more with Rebecca, like pray and read with Rebecca more, you know? Then I fall asleep, then I wake up, boom. What time is it on my phone? Then grind. Instagram, then emails, then TikTok, then, you know, then Ben is the Menace edits, then
That right there, what you're talking about is exactly what we all, now, all those things that you said, the back in the grind, you know, doing all this stuff, on the surface, they're not bad. There's nothing bad about those things, but it's taking time. Right. It takes your time, and it's putting, the priority of wanting to spend time with God over other things, and not just. And I got to be clear about this. It's not just, dude.
And then at night when I lay back down, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have prayed more, and I wish I would have read more today. Same thing, yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, that's actually a really good thing though, because the fact that you're thinking of it, you're going to start doing it. Really, you're going to start.
Well, I almost feel like it's like. I almost feel like it's the Holy Spirit.
It is.
You know?
It is.
Especially now, especially with the sleep stuff, you know, and the weird stuff that I've been experiencing. That's why, like, I've been thinking about it more as I laid my head down, and I'm like kind of worried, and I'm like, man, I should be praying more, you know, like,
bro,
going through some weird stuff, laying my head down at night and being like, God, please protect me. That might not be all that I'm supposed to be doing, you know?
Listen, man. And I know it's difficult, and I don't want to bring up the kids thing, because I know it's hard for you sometimes, like, because you guys don't have kids, but there is something that I've learned, like being a dad, right? Like if Annabelle comes to me, and only when she needs something, or when something is like she can't make it, like we wouldn't have a relationship, right? And it's all about no, come to daddy, come. Let me tell you. I'll tell you, but you got to stay with me. And when we sit there and we're like, oh, what does God want? I don't know. I can't figure it out, bro. I was there. I was like, what do I do? And I'm like, wait a second. Where's the peace that fills us? Where's the promise of all this stuff? And he's just sitting there saying, I'm here. I want to give this to you. He's not the policeman. He's the father. He's the good father that says, come close and I will tell you. Don't make me shout it, you know, because sometimes he'll shout, and that's like usually in pain, in pain, he talks in pain, and it's shouting sometimes to us, right? Because he loves us. And so, like, whatever you're going through spiritually right now, I do believe is attacks, guaranteed. But there's also this, it's funny because you have this fear at night, but then during the day you're thinking about this business plan, you're not,
and the Matrix,
right? You were right back into it. Ben, the most important thing is his presence. Do you understand that when we
Yeah,
die, that's what we're going to be?
right.
It's going to be in his presence for
And what a
eternity.
coincidence that his prayer was, or the Lord's prayer is, on earth as it is in heaven.
Yes.
Like he wants us to experience,
so good, Ben,
you know, a tidbit of heaven as much as we can while here on earth, you know.
Ben,
he wants that for us.
We can experience it. I'm a living test.
But I'm so busy.
You know, I know.
I'm just kidding.
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
No, but what you just said though is exactly what everyone's situation is.
I know.
Okay, I asked someone today because I was texting with someone and I said, "Hey man, how can I pray for you?" Right. This is something I've been intentionally trying to do with people. Like as I'm like talking to them, I'm like, "How can I pray for you? How can I pray for you?" Like especially if I don't talk to them that often, right? And this person writes me. He's like, "Well, you asked," and then he writes me like it was like 4 things that were like worldly things, like pray that I sell this thing, pray that like this business decision that we're trying to make, pray like at the end of it, it was pray for wisdom and as how to raise my children. So he prioritized, you know, all those things, and then the wisdom for his children was last. And I thought that was interesting, you know, because that's exactly how we think. We don't put priority on the spiritual matters in our life, which if we did, all the other stuff will either go away because it's not for us. You know, those doors will close, or they'll be open. There'll be peace, or the anxiety, or we would be able to navigate this life so much easier if we just sought God first in everything. And
right. Oh, I totally believe that. And especially since I read Unseen Realm, and since that really took like root in my mind and heart, you know, the reality of this other place with other things and forces at play, and like the eye-opening to the reality that there's a spiritual realm and it's constantly at work, you know. Once that really took root in my life, I'm like, I think I need to pray more, you know, because that's how we talk. That's how we engage with that aspect of God through the Holy Spirit. And, you know, so realistically, and again, I'm very like heady, you know, so things have to make sense to me. Realistically, it just made sense. I'm like, hey, if this is all spiritual, it's all spiritual warfare. It's all a spiritual battle. There are spiritual realities behind everything that's happening here. I think I need to pray more. Like that's how you handle that side of reality or that realm, is through prayer and through reading the Bible. And like recently, me and Rebecca, and it's so funny because it's like your buddy's story. Recently, we've started like fasting once a week, you know, and I've always wanted to. We just never did it.
Yeah, that's great.
And we started. It's funny because I didn't fast for the longest time because I was like, fasting's weird. Like, why does God need us to not eat? What, for him to hear us? Like, you think that your stomach growling pleases God or something? You know what I mean? I didn't get it.
For us.
And then only recently did I realize fasting when we're hungry reminds us that like, this isn't all there is. Like your food, your stomach hurting, you're this, you're that. This isn't all there is. When your stomach hurts, or for me personally, when my stomach hurts because I'm hungry, it reminds me about God and that he's sovereign, that he's in control, that there's another reality to, you know, and that might just be how fasting is working in my life now. There might be other reasons why God had people fast. But for me, it just is a reminder of God's sovereignty. So once a week, I'm like, hey, I'm going to not eat to spend the day kind of reminding myself of God's sovereignty. And it's kind of helped.
Can I ask you a question?
You know? Yeah.
We tend to fast often from God's bread, right?
Yeah.
very willingly. It doesn't take us much to fast from eating the bread of life, right? Do we feel hungry? Do we feel that hunger pain when we're not?
Only in the sense of like a small thought in my mind coming to me saying, I should read my Bible more. You know what I mean? That's it. There's no hunger pains. Yeah. But then when I do get into the yums of the Bible, I'm like, dang, I love this stuff.
Yeah, because it's satisfying. It's filling.
Dude, it's so good. Even earlier today, I'm churning this stuff over in my mind about the meeting and then some other stuff that's going on. And then just there's just a lot going on, and I'm like, and I'm praying through it and just telling God, like, hey, whatever you want. Listen, for me, I have no problems acknowledging God's in control and whatever he wants is going to happen. You know what I mean? The thing is, I want him to direct me more so I don't make his job harder. Like, I don't want to get into stuff on my own and then,
Right, but also think about...
I want it to be driven by him. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
And listen, man, that would
not just like, oh, this sounds like a great opportunity. Let me hop on this train.
Right.
And then later when like it hits the fan and like things go wrong, I'm like, God, you were sovereign when I got into it.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because, whatever decision you make, let's say you do decide to go forward with it. You need to take God with you through the process, right? So
yeah,
if it derails and it goes bad, you can't say, "Oh God, like, why did you let this happen?"
No,
right?
Not at all, not at all. Because again, remember, I believe God's sovereign, always sovereign.
Right.
I believe if I do this, if I partake in this investment opportunity, God's sovereign. I believe if I don't partake of this investment opportunity, God's sovereign.
Right.
It doesn't change the reality.
Good.
But and the only thing that might change is like my anxiety in the midst of it. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you an example. We had this piece of land. We had a couple acres up in the hills. Beautiful. It's where I wanted to live when I moved to Idaho. Like this place, and nothing ever sells up there. The second this thing came on, I bought it in like 2 days. I bought it. And I didn't even tell Rebecca. I just took her up there and I'm like, what do you think? Isn't the place cool? She's like, oh, it's so nice.
Crazy.
I'm like, oh, well, it's yours,
Wow.
And it was awesome. Like it was like super romantic, very attached to that property. Yeah. Bro, it's mountain views. Okay. On the mountain across from my land, on the mountaintop, some kid for community service, I don't know what he did, but for community service had to like go do stuff that somebody told him to do who owns this property across from me. Hillside, huge hillside. You know what he did? He made him in big white like letters or rock, or I don't know what it is, to be honest. Made him write, Jesus loves you.
That's awesome. Right in front. And you can see that every time.
So my entire property faces this hillside that says Jesus loves you. So we were both like super attached to it,
so cool.
But we've held off on building, like we wanted to build a dream home up there, and we held off on it because I'm like, the boiler that everybody had, the market's going down. Sure. Construction's so expensive, blah, blah, blah. So we held off and then we started thinking like, maybe we're not going to build, maybe we want to buy something already built, blah, 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 blah. So we actually started really praying about it, fasting. My parents came in town. They would pray and fast with us. They knew it was like a big decision because we'd have to sell our house.
Sure.
Do that,
it's
a big decision. Yeah. So we're like praying about it, fasting together. We would go up there. We would go to the land after fasting, like every week, and we would pray in the car. And then we'd open the Bible and start reading. Okay. And that's not a normal thing that I do, nice. But I believe that, God can speak through that.
100%.
Bro, every time, this is the funniest crap ever. And it's experiences like this that led me to start fasting more.
Awesome.
Every time we opened the Bible, every time it was prophecies from the Bible about I will bring calamity on this land. There is no escape from this earth will be filled with blood. Bro, it got to the point where like we'd go up there, we'd pray, and I'm like, okay, God, we get it. What's it going to be this week? No joke. Like I would like, and we'd start laughing, open it up, death upon this land. It is currently, bro.
That's
we come home after like a few weeks of this, and I'm like, I'm going to list the land.
That's incredible.
You know what I mean?
Man. And you sold it, right?
Yeah, we sold it. Yeah. We sold it.
That's crazy, dude.
And I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, well, God's sovereign. You know, he was sovereign when I bought it, and he was sovereign when I sold it. Right? Yeah. We loved that land, and we wanted to live up there, and we this and we that. Interestingly enough, right before I listed it, you know what else we found out? Because we started looking at other houses up there. We ran into a neighbor from a few miles up the road, and we told them we got this land, but they're selling their house, and we were looking at it, and they're like, oh, in that community over there, Canyon Creek? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and she's like, oh, do you know they're putting in a cell tower in the community just up the road, like a quarter mile from you, 150-foot cell tower? And I'm like, what? No way. How'd you? They tell me the story. Wow. Putting in a freaking big ass cell tower, which to me, I would have never bought that land if I knew that there was a cell tower right there. Right. I would have. I'm trying to get away from all this crap and trying to move, you know. And interestingly enough, like, so he was sovereign when I bought it, sovereign when I sold it, right? And sovereign just means God's in control. Sure. He's in control. That's what sovereign means. Right. So I don't know why he had me tie up this money for 2 years in this piece of land and then just lose a little bit on the back end. Right, you know, I didn't make money, but whatever.
Sure.
For all that I know, if I had that money in the bank, I might have put it in something else.
Yeah,
that would have went way more south.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have lost a couple.
There's so many things
I would have lost a lot more. You know, that's how my mind works. And I'm like, when I bought it, I tried to do something good for my family and for my wife, and a surprise, and like it was a thing for us. And Jesus loves you sign across, and you know, it was this thing, right? It was a beautiful thing. And like once a month I drive up there, and I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait to live here. You know what I mean? It was just this thing, like it was an emotional attachment to this place. Man. And then as a result of, in my opinion, God speaking to us through prayer and fasting and his word about calamity, you know?
I mean, that's clear as day to me. I mean,
hey, then I sold it, and you know what, bro? I felt so at peace and so thankful and so happy. And like, I still drive past there, and I'm always like, man, that's such a cool piece of land. Yeah. But I'm like, but God told me to sell it. You know, like I've got no hesitation and no hard feelings, you know? And I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying before, where it's like, when it's from God, you'll have peace. You'll have peace about it. And it even says it's peace that surpasses understanding.
Yes, dude.
You know what I mean?
Man, that's exactly. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's a cool story. Man, but
that's my most recent example.
Now try to apply that to this, you know, business opportunity. Now let's also say though that this opportunity, you know, you weigh the cost, right? Because it says count the cost, weigh it all. You know, investments are a good thing, right? They're a very good thing. Right. I mean, the Bible talks about that. It encourages investing, right? Whether it's our talents or gifts or money, whatever it is, our time, right? And we know all those stories, but or lessons. But in this case, like, let's say you're not getting let's say you're pressing into Jesus, you're really, you know, you're spending time with him, and that's not the first and foremost thing. So here's the thing, what people kind of lose sight of, I think, is they have something that's weighing on them. They need to like get an answer, and that's all they think about. That's all they come to Jesus.
That's where I was with this, because it was really weighing heavy on me, you know, and it would determine what we do with a lot of things. Am I selling my house? Am I going to live in an RV? Right. You know, until my house is built. Sure. Like there was a lot, and it was really, really like weighing heavy on me.
Yeah. And what's that doing when that happens? What's that doing? It's taking time away from.
It was definitely taking a lot of time.
And focus.
It was taking focus, emotion, anxiety. Like it was just always on my mind, always on my mind. You know what I mean?
And that's what God doesn't want. You see, he doesn't want
I agree.
that to be, and
I agree.
It's hard when like, someone's like sick, or like, you're dealing with, a person who is, in a really bad place, and that's dear and close to you. Like it's difficult because, you're thinking about them, you're praying, and that's all that's good. But ultimately, like, especially with these worldly things, is this earthly stuff that, is just going to burn. Right. It's okay to do all these things. It's okay to invest. Like I'm a huge, like I was a big investor in my life. Like that's all I did. But like, right. If it takes time away from your focus and your presence with Jesus, then it's not a good thing. Now, that's not to say like, oh, well, look, I had a whole day filled with God's presence and then I get a job and it's taking time away from God. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Right. Like we have responsibility. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. Like there is responsibility. I have a daughter, like, I have to take care of myself. I want to maybe get remarried one day, hopefully I it's good to save. It's good to, to reinvest and grow things. It's fine. God uses those things. He wants to bless us. He wants to us to live an abundant life, even here on earth. And that even in the system that we live, like we can be blessed by this. Right. Now, again, just to go back to this whole business thing, I think even if you don't have a clear answer, if you don't feel like you have a clear answer, weigh the cost and say, okay, can you do this? Is it going to stretch yourself so much that, man, if money gets tied up or you lose it, like how is it going to affect your family? Right. You got to look at worst case, but you also have to say, look, God, we trust you in this. We think this is the best thing to do. We're going to honor you by, we're entering you. We want you into this conversation. We want you into this decision.
Yeah. That's all I want.
Right. And Ben, I believe he'll tell you, I just think that it's really putting time. I think that in a few days or maybe a week from now, however long you have to make a decision, you're going to, but again, don't let this be the only thing. See, this is where I think we make the mistake. Go to Jesus to be with Jesus. Don't go to Jesus to get an answer. Go to Jesus to be with Jesus, to physically feel his presence, because you can physically feel it, for him to show you other things, like pray for people, like make it a priority to pray for others, pray for this, bring this to him, and then leave it alone. Now focus your mind back on praying for other people, asking to be filled with the Spirit, asking for, for his presence, be with him, focus on spending time with him, and all the other things will be given to you, man. It's we throw around that passage, right? Seek first the kingdom of God and all. What did he say before that? Like all the things will be given to us, right? He talked about food, clothing. He talked about like the things that we need. Right. When it comes to what we want, that's not going to always be like, it's not going to be like he's going to give us all we want just because we're his. That's not how it works, right? You wanted that land and you wanted to build a house on it, right? And you did a beautiful thing by doing that, and like, bringing your wife up there and being, that was such a cool, that's a great moment. I'm sure she'll remember that forever. Like my husband loves him so much, he surprised me with this.
Yeah,
that's
and
so
then
cool.
It failed.
No, it didn't fail.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was a lesson. It didn't fail. It was actually a lesson where you guys are like, whoa, God, you're so good. Like you protected us. Like you, yeah, who cares?
And we see that. And we see that, we totally see that.
Like, do you see how much good came out of that? Like out of that lesson, right? So,
bro, but that's the other verse. All things work together for good for those who are in the Lord and are called according to his purpose, and I believe that. Like I have no hesitation about God's sovereign and that everything is always working together for our good. Right. No matter how crappy, how bad, how terrible our situation can be, that is somehow in his plan working together for good for us and for his glory. I totally believe that. I could have lost everything. I still could. It could, anything could happen.
Right. And what would you do if it did happen?
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't like. it's hard because it's easy for me to say, you know, God's sovereign and he's in control and all things work together for good for us and for his glory. Like, it's easy for me to say that because it's on my Bible and I believe the Bible. But when it's actually going to happen, you know, and the poo-poo hits the fan, who knows? Like, who knows what it'll look like and what I'll be saying and what I'll be, you know, what verses I'll be pulling up, and we'll see. We'll see, man, because it'll come. It'll come. That's what this world does, right?
Sure.
That's what life does. It goes to caca.
Yeah.
And God's still sovereign, you know?
Yes,
so
yes.
I don't know. We'll see when I get there, man.
Ben, have you ever experienced, I know I've asked you this like a few months ago, I think, about like God's presence, but have you ever experienced his presence so thick in your day that you'd give up anything for it? Anything. I mean, anything. I'm talking about.
No, because I haven't had an experience like you, you know. By the way, we need to reshoot your experience.
Yeah, we do.
I concur with everything you said.
You do?
Side note.
Oh, thank you. That's so great. I'm so glad you said that. Okay. That gives me a lot of peace, by the way. Thank you.
Let's get back.
No, that was actually really good.
No, because I also think God is, but I don't know if I can definitively say it. I think God like engages with people differently.
Sure.
You know, I don't think his relationship with people looks exactly the same.
Correct. Totally agree.
Right?
Totally agree.
And I think that could be based on.
That's a great point.
I think that could be based on like our own personality, our own wiring. Again, I'm very heady, right? Like the emotional side doesn't really always resonate.
Yeah.
So to have like a very emotional experience and response, can it happen? Dude, totally. If God like lights a fire in my heart and I'm just like bawling, I'd walk away and be like, damn, that was crazy. You know, that wouldn't be, I wouldn't expect that like every week or every day or every, you know what I mean? Yeah. Can it happen? Yeah, totally. I believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know what experiencing that overwhelming presence of God would look like for me when I'm just like a robot. You know what I mean? I'm a happy robot.
I want to say though,
it could just be like I get so happy and excited when like I read the Bible, but it's very like, how can I put this? It's very, what's it called when you're just like, when you're studying something or it's just like linear. I don't know. I think it's because, again, I'm very heady. When I read stuff, I just want to study it. I just want to start tearing it up and being like, and this and that connects to this and that and da-da-da-da. It's not necessarily that it's like hitting home. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that I'm like, I feel closer to Jesus. I just get really excited about like the Bible.
Have you ever heard from God outside of the Bible?
Let me think. Heard from God outside of the Bible. And I assume you don't mean like auditory.
Yeah, no,
right?
no.
Like,
definitely not auditory.
But just what, like a feeling, like an impression?
I mean, gosh, there's so many. I could, they're small. They're small things that happen where you get confirmation, for example, where I'll give you a good example about it. I'm sitting talking to my neighbor about something one night, and we go to church together on Sundays, and I'm talking to her the night before about some stuff, and we're getting pretty personal, pretty deep about some things. And I said this line to her, this phrase kind of, and she's like, whoa, okay, that was really heavy. Like, I got to think about that. The next morning at church, we're sitting next to each other, and the pastor says the exact same line.
Oh.
And then she's like, and she looks over at me. She's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, God's talking to you. The God's talking to you.
Okay. That's funny. I think I have a different word for it.
Okay.
You could ask Rebecca, because I was just telling her about this. I call it God's sense of humor. It's like
totally. He's like that.
It's our inside joke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where there's stuff that happens. But okay, when you say like, did God or have you heard God speak to you or something like that? The first thing I think about is like, oh, has he auditorily impressed something on me, or not that I haven't had that, or I'm sure I have, but it's, I don't know.
Did I tell you the morning
or something? But real quick, but I have moments. It's so funny. I have moments all the time, all the freaking time, where things will happen, or something comes across my path, or just something happens. Okay, where I'm like,
dude, all day long.
It's just
all day.
It's just
that's God.
So funny.
That's God.
It's so funny. I know, and I genuinely go, that's our inside joke.
Yeah,
like we get it.
Right.
Nobody else gets
it.
Yeah. The same. Everybody sees the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all looking at it, but I'm the only one that's like,
okay, I'm so glad you said that.
That's our like relationship, bro. It could be the most recent one I could think about. Oh my gosh, what was it? Okay, me and Rebecca were listening to a podcast about, bro, it was something. Boom, hold on, it's coming to me. Lamb. Okay, it's. Do you know what lamb is? LAM.
The
LAM. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Okay, so lamb was the name of this. Actually, hold on. I'm not going to start there. Me and Rebecca are listening to this podcast, and it's talking about demonic forces, supernatural this, supernatural that, evil this, da 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 da. Right. And as we're driving, listening to this, me and Rebecca are like kind of talking about it, and she's like asking me questions, stuff. I'm talking to her. We pull up to a stoplight right in front of us. The car in front of us has a license plate that says LAM, and then like three letters, and I'm like, I look at the license plate while I'm in conversation. I look at it and I'm like, inside joke. And I'm like, babe, you see that license plate? Do you know what lamb is? And she's like, no, what is that? And I tell her, lamb was the name that this famed occultist, Aleister Crowley, he did a ritual. I think it was early 1900s. He did a ritual with another occultist, and they summoned a demon that manifested itself physically in their room. Okay. He sketched it afterward, and it looks exactly like an alien, like big head coming to a point, big eyes.
Like before,
yeah. I had this video on my TikTok about it. TikTok, Ben is the Menace pod.
Subscribe,
share,
comment.
What's the other one?
Share, comment, like.
Okay. And he said that its name was Lamb. Wow. So this demonic force that manifested said its name is Lamb. And me and Rebecca are talking about this podcast about demons and I'm like, Lamb, that's what we're done. It's that spirit. This is what we're talking
right track. Yeah.
And that's our inside joke. It's stuff like that. Yeah. And Dennis, this happens to me so freaking much that I'm like, I just laugh. Yeah. It's like, it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because the odds of these things happening at exact moments in time are it is impossible. It is impossible. It's
because he's
Rebecca asked me, she's like, do you think that that's like what he meant to do? Or do you think that's just like a generic license plate? It just
coincidence.
The letter generator, the license plate generator gave these 6 figures.
Oh, the guy who owns the license plate. She's asking.
She's like, do you think he's like a demon worshiper and he put lamb on there intentionally, or do you think this is a random license plate generated?
Right. Yeah. And
there it freaking is. Yeah. Like while we're talking about this, and it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
you know?
For sure.
The odds that demon worshiper with that demon license plate is in front of me, or that a random license plate generator generated a license plate for this guy, and his day just so happened to lead him to be at that point in time in front of me. It doesn't matter. That's impossible. You know, the odds of that happening are freaking impossible. And that's an example of me and God's inside jokes.
Look for those. Look for
I love it. I see him all the time.
Okay. And build on those, because that's how he talks, dude. He uses things in nature and physical world, like in all around us, to talk to us all the time.
I can see that.
Yes, he uses the Bible.
I like it.
Yes, he uses songs. I mean, he uses, you know, it could be.
It's just, for me, that's like, that was just a reminder again that, like, it's all spiritual.
Of course,
he's always around. He's here with me now, there, and always. Like, it just reminds me of God constantly.
Bro,
you know,
I have so many.
So it might not be like might not be like an emotional thing.
It doesn't have to be.
It's just a constant reminder.
Yeah, and I'm not okay. So those are two different things for me. When I talk about God's presence, I'm talking about like entering into the courts, like entering into His, you know, in His presence.
What do you mean? What does that mean? What is?
It's a state. It's a state of being with Him, and it comes through prayer, through singing, through praise, through adoration. It's not a lot of asking. It's a lot of glorifying. It's a lot of and by being in this state. So again, for me, practically, is when I'm in His presence is. I'll just give you an example. I wake up in the morning, and the very first thing I do, like I told you, I'd like read for almost about an hour in my.
Yeah.
But what I do even before that is I actually sit up on my bed, and I stretch my hands out, and I just give Him adoration. I give Yahweh, God, Father. I just say all the attributes of God, as many things as I could think of.
You do this every morning?
Every morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
It has become such a treasure for me, because
that's awesome.
It's I feel connected. And at the end of that, and I ask, and I say, fill me with your Spirit, Jesus, today. Fill me with your Holy Spirit today. And empower me. Let me hear you. Let me, I say, dwell inside of me, so that every decision that I make is soaked and drenched with you. Everything that I see, everything I do, everything I think of has you on the forefront. And that has changed every aspect of my life. Bro, I turned on TV the other day because I finished The Chosen. I watched The Chosen 4 times in a row now. Like,
dang,
I can't stop.
So good.
I turned on TV to start browsing to see, because you actually told me to watch Stargate, right? So I was like, okay, let me just see.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I couldn't get myself to watch anything. I'm sitting there, and I was the king of streaming everything. I watched every show. Right. Bro, I can't get myself to do it. I just don't care. I don't want it. I just go back and I start reading again. Dude, I had those experiences like you're talking about, like the Lamb and all that stuff. Whether it's through the Bible, or through a song, or through a phone call. Bro, I remember, like, my dad will call me sometimes, like, out of nowhere. He's like, I called you by accident. And I'm like, okay. And then we'll start talking, and he'll say something to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's exactly what I was praying about. Like, what the heck? Like, things like this happen. Dude,
that's awesome.
This happened just like 3 or 4 days ago. Something was heavy on my heart, going to bed the night before, waking up in the morning. I just couldn't get out of my mind. Something was heavy in my heart. Something that I was kind of involved in, and I was just, it wasn't a really good thing. And I was just like, it didn't really honor God in it, right? Like, it was more for me. And and I'm going through the Bible, the New Testament, like in a year. I just kind of go through it, and that's just one thing I read, and I do a lot of devotionals. I have like 4 devotionals I do, and then I have like the reading, and then I go back, and then when I'm reading, I actually read like the AMP, the ESV, the NET, the TPT, like, just to see the different nuances in the text, and what I can learn. And I get so much, dude. I learned so much more during the translations. You know me, 2-3 years ago, I was giving you so much shit about like, I can't trust the Bible, all this stuff.
Yeah,
and now look at me,
hilarious.
And now look at me, I'm going through every translation, because I want to know more. I want to see the different aspects. To me, it doesn't mean anything. It means more. Okay, it means how beautiful God is, that He could speak through.
Is that excitement you're describing? Yeah. Is that what you mean by God's presence?
No.
What's that excitement you're talking about? What would you
like that I was just expressing right now?
Yeah.
That's just me being excited.
That's what I have.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
okay. I think that's because we have a connection with God, and we're seeing him, like we know it. That's like we get excited that I don't know if that's being in his presence. I think that's like being, hang on, let me think about it. The more I talk out loud about it, the more I'm going to actually say, yeah, it's probably actually being in his presence. I think that's being connected now. I'm going to retract. I'm going to say that is the connection
happening in real time.
Right. I believe that that's the connection, but you only get that connection by being in his presence, like dwelling with him, living with him. So let me go back to that story though, because in the morning, I have something heavy in my heart. I know there's something that I shouldn't like. It's not honoring God. It's just, and so I'm reading. I'm in Matthew, and I'm going through like the books of the New Testament, but it's like all through the Bible app. And I noticed. Well, here's the thing. I usually read right in the morning, so I pray and then I read. This morning in particular, I stayed out late the night before, and I woke up kind of late, which I haven't done in a while, but I was like, I'm going to go take sugar out and I'm just going to read at the beach. So I prayed, I got Shuggy, and I left to go read, and I was going to read on my bench, near the beach. So that's when I was planning to do it. And I did. I get to the beach, or to the bench, and I sit down and I pull up the Bible app and I start to read. Now I notice that I missed 3 days. Now they weren't consecutive days. They were just 3. I guess I just didn't click on the right things, and I just, skipped. And there was 3 sections that I missed. So I'm like, oh, okay. I never noticed this before. So I go back and I missed the first one that I missed was pretty far back. Right. And I'm like, that's weird. I thought I was ahead actually. Like, that's what I thought. And so I'm like, well, now that's why I was ahead, because I missed 3 days. So I go back and to read the first thing and to open it up. Ben, it was exactly about that situation. To the T. I was sitting there, I was like, my goodness. Okay, God. Like, okay, I get it. Like, totally. Yeah. It was just it was that moment, right? But how do we get to those places, right? How do we get to that, to where that is happening all the time?
Right.
Right. Where, I mean, in a business meeting, at the grocery store, talking to somebody, talking to family, whatever. How do we get to that state, to where we're actually living in his presence? I do believe that's living in his presence.
But I want that.
Okay. Now try to remember the times that you are not living like that, where you're so disconnected, where you're cold, where it feels like a struggle to be entwined with the Spirit. I love the Bible, how it says we're woven. Dude, that word, woven. Do you understand, Ben? Like, to be woven with the Holy Spirit. Like, he's not just there, he is here, and he's in us, and he goes through all the things that we go through, whether it's good or bad, or fear or pain, pleasure, sickness. He goes through all of that with us. He doesn't go away. He's with us. And to understand being woven, just dwell on it. Dude, I read something, John Edwards, I got to read this to you. Such a beautiful thing. And again, I know I'm more emotional.
Yeah, you're going to have this like reaction to it, and I'm going to be like, oh, that makes sense.
Jonathan Edwards. I'm just going to read this. Jonathan Edwards wrote, God is the highest good of the reasonable creature. The enjoyment of him is our proper. Okay, that's an old term. And is the only happiness in which our souls can be satisfied. Okay, his enjoyment is the only happiness to which our souls can be truly satisfied. To go to heaven fully to enjoy God is infinitely better than the most pleasant accommodation here on earth, right? Just thinking about heaven, right? That's easy for us to grasp. Yeah. Better than fathers and mothers, husbands, wives, or children, the company of any or all earthly friends. Better than fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, children, or the company of other or any other earthly friends is being with God. It's better than all that. There are but shadows. These are but shadows, but the enjoyment of God is the substance. So wife, family, children are shadows, right? They're pictures of what enjoyment with God is. But God is the substance. Now, these are but scattered beams, but God is the sun. I love that. These are but streams, but God is the fountain. These are all pointing to God, right? Like when we look at the sun, right? It's pointing to God. We look at the ocean, it's pointing the power to God. When we look at when you look at your wife and the love that you guys have, the connection you guys have, that's just a picture of what you and God's relationship is. These are but drops, but God is the ocean. God's purpose for my life was that I have a passion. God's purpose, dude, track with me, Ben. God's purpose for your life is so that you have passion. His purpose for you, Ben, is so that you have passion for God's glory. And then you find joy in that glory, okay? And then I'm just going to skip a little bit ahead, and it goes to trust in Jesus. To trust in Jesus is to be wrapped up in the glory of God. Now, here's the most beautiful thing. It is to have found a diamond of endless depth and beauty, and to have the ability to stare into it endlessly, always seeing more beauty, more worth, and more significance. Let me read that again. This thing floored me. See, this is where my emotional side really gets crazy inside. It just makes me want to burst. God is like having a diamond with endless depth and beauty, and to have the ability to stare into this diamond endlessly, always seeing more beauty, more worth, more significance. Bro, Ben, this is living in God's presence. Is when we say, oh God, this morning, you're more beautiful than you were yesterday. You're more significant in my life than you were yesterday. You're more great. You're bigger than you were yesterday. I see more of you now. Like, are we going from glory to glory? Are we living our lives to, or are we're doing that for a day or two, and then we get sucked right back into these distractions of this world? Bro, Ben, the Amish have it right, dude. Like, we suck,
That's all I want to do. I just want to be Amish.
I'm telling you.
I've been saying this for a few years now. I literally just want to be Amish.
Bro, okay, as we go about our lives today and for all of our days, may we join with God in making his glory central to all of our decisions, actions, and efforts. Central, Ben, to all of our decisions,
that's what I want.
Actions, and efforts. And by doing so, may we experience the unending joy that can only be produced by his infinite glory and work in our finite lives. Bro, the diamond. Tomorrow morning, like, ask yourself, is God more beautiful today? Or even at the end of the day, whatever. What did you learn from God? What did you experience from God today? Was he more beautiful today than he was yesterday? Was he more precious to you? Has he become more precious? Ben, I said this comment, and I'm sticking to it. I fought like crazy to be a father, right? You know what I went through. My life was destroyed for me, and that's all I had in my mind. All I had in my mind was to be a father to Annabelle. Now, that was a righteous thing for me to do. That was a good, righteous thing to do. God wants you to be a father. He wants you to fight for justice and all this stuff. Bro, I idolized it. I put it in front of God. I put that before the Almighty, my creator, my life source. I put all my attention into that. And right now, Ben, I can honestly say, with no reservations whatsoever, is I would give up my daughter if it meant that I couldn't be in God's presence anymore. Like, I have to be in his presence. I don't want anything else. I don't care about food, about clothes, about cars, about business, about investments, I don't care about, I'm lonely and I want to have a wife at some point, all that stuff like that. Those things like do matter to me, of course, just like, like the longing for children might matter for you, or the longing for something else, right? Like, these things we long for, and those are good things to long for. They're not bad. But overall of that, right? If God says, listen, I want you to be with me, and you won't have a wife ever. Like you're going to die single, but you're going to have me every day, Ben, in a heartbeat. And I know you might think I'm saying this flippantly or easily, but that's where I've gotten to over this last 5 months in my life, where I see things completely different. I got a job after I've been looking for so long, but if they call me tomorrow and they're like, yeah, it's, it's not working out or whatever, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
okay, God, what's next? Let's go.
Right.
What's next? I wish I can like translate or like push this in someone's head, right? Like, but the only reason why, or the only way I got there was because of his grace and mercy, of course, but because of the time that I put into it, the time that I put into spending with Jesus, the time, there's nothing else, man. I can say there's not, it's pray, read, praise, and repeat. Pray, read, praise, and repeat. There's someone in my life who PRPR, praise, read, praise, repeat. PRPR. I have someone in my life who was addicted to smoking, right, to the vape thing, and she was like, "Hey, this has been more difficult for me to get off nicotine than it has been to get off of meth." She was a meth head, okay, and she says that nicotine for her whole life she's been smoking. She was like 16. She's like 30 years old right now or something, and I said, do this, try this, just do this. This is the only formula that I can give you. When it comes in, the craving comes. I know this sounds weird. Pray, read, praise, and repeat until it goes away. It's been almost 2 months. She hasn't touched it. That's all she's been doing. She's no patches, no therapy, nothing else. She listened to me, and I told her, just do this, because there's nothing else you could do. You've been trying forever to get off this thing. Nothing is working. Pray, read, praise, repeat. I don't know, but there's power in those things. There's power in seeking him, because you're giving up. You're focusing on him. You're restructuring. You're just turning your eyes, and everything else does like burns in his light. All that garbage just burns. And man, I've proven this over and over and over the last 5 months, over and over and over, Ben, because this is what I've been doing. I haven't worked. I haven't really been a dad because my daughter's in Charlotte, so I go see her and stuff, but I don't have any major responsibilities besides my dog. And that's all I've been doing for 5 months, Ben, is pray, read, praise, repeat. And it's radically changed my life. Change the way I see things, change the way I talk to people, change the way I listen to people, change the way I listen to him and how I hear him. That's why I tell you, every day I hear him, every day something happens. If it's not just one thing, it's multiple things. I was at a prayer night at church a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting there, we're praying, and the service is about to end. He's doing the pastor's closing in prayer. In the middle of it, he says, wait, the Holy Spirit still is working. And he stops his prayer and he says, he's like, if you have been looking for a job for a long time and you're confused, you don't know what direction God wants to have you in, dude, bro, that was me, right? Like, how many times have you heard, oh, that was for me. Right. There was a guy in my men's group who was sitting on the bench next to me, and he's like, that's for you, bro, because he knew like I was looking for a job. And he's like, come to the front. I walk to the front and he prays over me. Bro, I get a job 3 days later. 4 days later.
Jeez. Have you told the guys that?
Well, at men's group, they all know it.
Group?
And even my men's group leader was actually in the front row, and he saw me as I was walking down. He's like, yeah, Dennis. Like, he even said it out loud. He's like, Dennis, because they all knew. Like, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like just smiling. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, stretch out your hands. I stretch out my hands. He prays for me. He moves on to the next thing. He ends the service. I'm like, cool. Get a job 3 for dude. It's been months, like that I've been looking. It's
you know what's wild, bro. Okay, think about it. All those months, we've been talking for a portion of them. All those months, your job search has come up. Anxiety has come up. Doubt, fear, blah 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 blah. Nothing works out. Blah 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 blah. Had you had a job, You
I
know
wouldn't
what you wouldn't have
experience
had?
any of this. No, dude.
You wouldn't have had that
Bro,
experience.
I got to the point where every time like someone that calls me, did you get a job yet? You know, I used to work. They're like, oh man, oh man. I'm like, no, dude, this is good. I'm like, I know a job's coming, and I'm gonna be like, oh man, like I'm missing out on so much God time, you know, because of this job. But now I'm telling you, this is such a blessing for me because this job is like allowing me to spend time with Jesus. Like, there's no one micromanaging me. I work from home.
Right.
Like, I can run my own schedule kind of to a certain degree. Like, it's been really amazing, this transition. God is so good, Ben. He's given me the perfect thing, the perfect job.
Right.
As far as, you know, like time and transition, money will come, all that stuff. Again, everything I need, I have, and I will always have. I do not worry about that. It's the things that I want that you know, make it difficult, right? I want more space for me and Annabelle, like when she's with me, right? I want, and these are good things, but am I focused on those things? Am I going to go and sit there and work so hard just so I can get those things?
Right.
Or am I going to just be calm, work steady, make sure I spend time? They wanted to have a meeting at 6:00 one night because they're in California. And I'm like, guys, I have a men's group at church that starts at 6:30. And I need to leave at 6. Like, I can't miss that, guys. I'm sorry, bro. The old deep me, like, bye. Yeah, dude, this is more important. God understands. Like, I'll just pray tonight or whatever, you know, like, bro. And it was so easy for me to those decisions. Now it's like, no, I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. I really need to. I want to go to this, you know, men's group, you know, and that's just how I live my life.
You want to hear something funny?
Please.
While we were just talking, and okay, remember earlier I said it's funny because I think like if I didn't buy that land, who knows, I would have put money in something else and that could have gone awry. And, you know, so even though it didn't work out the way I thought it would, like it could still be God's protection. You know what I mean?
100%.
Okay. What's funny is, as we were just talking about how like, if you would have got a job, you wouldn't have had this experience, right? Mm-hmm. If I wouldn't have bought my land, I wouldn't have had that fasting and praying experience.
Yes, you see,
where God keeps telling me,
that's awesome.
destruction. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to fast more and pray more, you know, not only that, what's also funny, and I don't know if it'll work out or not, but just because sense of humor, you know, inside joke, the amount that the land cost is almost identical to the amount of this new business venture that I'm turning over. So that's kind of curious too, you know? And the thing is, that land just sitting there, we were going to build on it eventually, hopefully, but it wasn't making any money. This is almost the same amount and is actually going to make me money. You know what I mean? So it's just funny. Like, I don't know. That's also a coincidence.
Do you have reservations on doing this deal?
My only reservation is I want it to glorify God, you know?
Okay.
And that's why I'm actively, and not like, oh, you're just coming to God because you want him to bless your investment. No, I don't want to do the investment if he's like, don't do the investment. Not because, oh, you want to make more, you want to make money somewhere else. No. If he wants me to like, I don't know, do something else with it, like give it to some, like, just tell me, like, okay, whatever you want. You know what I mean?
You're following Jesus, man.
I just want to be more in tune with his desires and his goals and his, you know, all of that. I want him to tell me stuff. Like, I want him to lead me more, you know? And up until now, my experience, and I could look back on like time after time after time where I'm like, oh my God, that was God. You know what I mean? And me and Rebecca admit that, like, every big decision, every big blessing, like everything has always, as we look back, is like God. You know what I mean?
It's awesome, man.
And the way that it's worked for me thus far is when it works, it's God. And when it doesn't work, it's because it's God, you know? Right. And so I'm kind of like, I kind of just go with the flow, and that's okay. You know, I'm okay with that. And like, it doesn't produce as much peace as I would like, because like, it's still there's a lot of turmoil and anxiety that comes along with that, you know? And I want to like, I want to just do things that God wants me to do. And I want to know that God wants me to do them ahead of time. And I'm like, I don't think that's a bad thing, you know?
Why would it? Yeah, of course not.
So
you're just asking for his, you're
for
just
guidance,
asking for him,
clarity,
to guide
all
you
of it,
clarity.
all of it.
You know,
I don't think that's a bad thing. And that's why I'm like, can you please give me an answer?
Well, okay. So I'm trying to find something right now. There's this, and I don't know if I'll find it. I have so much, about trusting us with time. And then as I'm saying it, I'm scrolling and then it just shows up as I was trying to say it.
Hey, do this.
Dude, do you know how I do that? I'll be talking to somebody and I just like look, I'll glance up. I'm like, or I'll be like,
hilarious.
Or even I'll say things like kind of fast sometimes. And I'm like, but I didn't really mean it like that. Because I'm like, I catch myself and I'm like, no, not that way. If God can trust you with time, he can trust you with more. And that stood out to me because it's like, well, if I don't even give him any time, then like, how can I ask him for like other things or like to right. So like don't ask. I mean, it's good to ask about this.
Yeah,
this big stuff, right?
That's a good point.
But ask about the little stuff. Like find him in the little things too. Because if you could find him in the little things, you could find him more and more often in the little things. That'll start to show you and train you on how to see him in the bigger, more heavier, weightier things, right? Or at least that are heavier, weightier to us. To him, they're all the same. To us, they're more weightier, right? Your land situation, right? It was so beautiful that, I mean, I see so much good that came out of that. From
for sure,
the protection, of course, that's pretty obvious. But the fact that you honored your wife in such a beautiful way, where you like brought her up there, and you're like, do you like this land? Well, it's yours. Like, do you know how like few people in this world can do that? Like, that's such a beautiful thing. Like, remind Rebecca how amazing you are because you did that, right? Or I'll remind her how. No, but I got it. Yeah, you know.
And then I felt so bad when we had to sell it.
Yeah, but no, because and no, don't feel bad. I think it's. But again, like to back up to say, like you said this earlier, if you didn't own that land for that time and go through this exercise, this lesson with him,
right,
you wouldn't have gotten closer to him,
right,
in that aspect.
For sure.
You know, it forced you to get closer to him, and that's where I think Jesus takes us through things so that we can get closer to him. And also, I think that's why he doesn't answer us right away. Because if he did, then we wouldn't need him. We wouldn't need to seek him, right? And I always say that now. It's like, okay, if he gave me a job right when I asked for it, well, I would have missed out on so much, right? And that's in every little thing, not just jobs or investments or, you know, land plays or, you know, marriage or, you know, the little things, man. Like it's you know, how do you spend your time with friends, with people in your life? You know, are you influential at all? Are you speaking about God? Are you, you know, I have this thing. I've had this conviction for the last couple of weeks now where, you know, I walk by a lot of people when I do my walks. I'm, you know, walking my dog. There's a lot of people back up and down the street, you know, going back and forth to the beach. I pass by so many people all the time and I smile and I say good morning and, you know, or in the evening, hey, how are you? But I don't really stop to talk like to them. I don't. And that's been a big conviction on my heart. Like if someone comes to me, I'll talk to them and I won't shut up. But for me to approach, right? So now what I've been doing is like, I've been like really praying. Like if someone passes by me, like I want to know, like God, you know, like put words in my mouth. You remember I told you this?
Yeah.
You know, put words in my mouth, and I'll do that in a weird way. I'll be like walking on the street.
You're like,
put words in my mouth.
As you're talking to some dude, you're just like, you try to cover it up,
dude. But it's funny because like at times, like I'm ashamed to do it. I'm like, what am I ashamed of? Like he told me to do this, you know, like to talk to him.
And the guy ends up being like, oh, I speak sign language too.
He's just like doing all this stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
But Ben, I think the biggest takeaway for this, I'm so glad we got to talk about this because
for sure,
it's so important to. And look, did I send you that book that I just finished it this morning? How to Hear God?
Oh,
no. So that same the Dirty Glory book by Peter Gregg. It's the same author. So this is the third book I read. I finished from him now. I'm starting the fourth one, How to Pray, tomorrow. But I'm kind of going backwards. But How to Hear God. It's an amazing book. And it talks about so many different aspects of how to hear God. And he has so many examples, and they're incredible. And not just in his life, he talks, dude, there's a song that I'm listening to that I have on my playlist. It's such an amazing song. And I was listening to it for months. Love the song. In the book, he tells the story about, there's this rock star kind of guy, this rocker guy who was married, and they didn't have kids, and he was kind of older, and some dude out of nowhere, and he wasn't even a believer. Some dude out of nowhere comes up to him and says, "You're going to have a son. His name is going to be Jonathan David. You're going to name him Jonathan David, and he's going to sing and write songs for the glory of God, and people are going to be changed through his music."
Wow.
And he's like, "Check this out, Ben." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "I've been a drug user, partier my whole life. I can't even have kids because I have, like, my sperm is shot.
Wow.
My wife in 2 weeks is going to get a hysterectomy. Scheduled to get a hysterectomy in 2 weeks. Guess what happens before the hysterectomy? Pregnant.
Wow.
Boy. Born.
Jonathan David.
They name him Jonathan David because he's like freaking out at this point, right?
Wow.
19 years passed. The boy is only interested in sports, not a lick of music. At 19 years old, he goes to his dad and goes, "Dad, can you teach me some chords?" And he's like, "Okay." His dad even forgot about the whole thing. How do you forget? But anyway, 19 years passed, right? And then the kid picks up guitar, starts writing songs, has hit songs now in the Christian charts, and he changed my life. That song is an incredible song. And I'm just like, poof, like blown away with like how God works in people's lives. Like if we just let him, those guys obviously.
So what you're saying is I need to start partying and doing more things, and I need to schedule a hysterectomy for Rebecca, and then God will kind of be forced to have to step in.
That's so funny. Linda and I, when we were married, even though our relationship wasn't great, but like we respected each other. We didn't we weren't malicious towards each other. You know us. We didn't have a bad marriage, but we couldn't have kids, right? Like she couldn't have children, and she had endometriosis. She had the surgery,
like Rebecca,
right? And that we ended up adopting. So for us, and I think I could speak for both of us because I know she loves Annabelle dearly. She's a great mom. I'll just speak for myself. I was super, super content when I came into my life, and I am today. I don't long for children now. If I meet someone and they're young and I'm still not that old and we can have a biological child, great, fantastic. If it happens, great. I think I'd be really scared, but I'm putting it in God's hands. I talked to a guy who's 46 at my men's group, and he's trying to have a kid right now, with his wife. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, and my brother, he's 45, and they're kind of trying. And I'm like, dang, dude, this is crazy, Or he's 40. Yeah, he's 45.
That's
I know.
That's exactly what I don't want.
I know, and that's what I thought too for a long time. I'm just kind of I'm leaving it open because I just don't want God's to say no to God's blessing. But if he
I'm just trying to see the big picture, because I always think, dude, I think God's in control of everything, literally everything, to a T, to everything. When I catch a red light, I used to get pissed. I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to. And now when I catch a red light, I'm like, I would have probably gotten an accident down the road. You know, I literally think God's in control of everything.
But Ben, you're right. He is. So we need to live our life like that. He is. We need to. It's not crazy.
We just don't acknowledge it. We don't.
Exactly.
We think that we're in a hurry and I shouldn't be at this red light. And God's like, you idiot. You would be dead.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you're running late. Man. You're running late because your wife takes too long to do her hair, and it's Sunday and you're like, we're going to be late to church again because of your hair. And God's like, don't be an ass. You guys are about to die. You just left 5 minutes late and now you're not gonna die. Now you're actually gonna be in church and get home after. So it's just so funny, man. That's just how I see reality.
Dude. But that's seeing God, right? In all these things and opening our eyes again, seeing him in the little things so that we can seeing him and hearing him in the little things so that we can see and hear him in the big things. And it's the practice in the little things will get us to see and hear him more clearly in the big things, so that we're not just running to him every time a big deal, in our lives that we think is a big deal, right? Like investments and moves and houses and children or whatever it is, like they're big to us. To him, it's all the same. But for us, like, look at the little things and try to seek him, hear him in the little things. Thanks for sharing that, Ben. That was awesome. I'm glad that you learned those lessons.
Lessons learned.
And it's cool that we get to share that with other people. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's a little late here today. We're gonna end it now. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, to share this with whoever you think would benefit from anything like this, that we're talking about, all the craziness that we talk about.
Guys, we're one sub away on the YouTubes from hitting 100.
Right.
And like I swore, when we hit 100, I'm going to shave my head, my ponytail. No, I didn't.
No, I was going to say, no, you didn't. I was going to say, dude,
hey,
how about at 10,000?
I was going to say 1,000, but yeah, I'll take 10,000.
Dang it. Shit, dang it. Okay, 10,000.
Dude, I've never shaved my head. So I'm still not going to, but I'll cut my hair short.
I look like lamb.
I don't think I have a nice head. You need to have a nice head.
I have a flat head. Mine's really flat.
I have a flat head. I'm not shaving my head.
My
Guys,
mom
doesn't matter.
Let us sleep on my head.
Oh, bro. I've got a huge, like, my head is so big.
Really?
And flat. Yeah. You won't know. Well, I'm also tall, so it might be proportionate, but it's huge. Like, my hats are huge. I don't know how to explain it.
That's so funny.
But subscribe, comment,
subscribe,
share.
Comment. Yeah. Tell us
algorithm.
Yes, please help us in this. If you can't support us, and pray for us, pray for Ben, pray for me. We're getting,
please.
Definitely, we've been through some stuff. At least Ben has been through some stuff.
And my wife,
tax-wise,
and our families,
and just the families.
This is what
protection.
Satan does,
guys. This is real. This is real, man. I mean, he cuts us off in this live stream, which hasn't happened before, and like two or three times he's done that. Yeah, and that's a good thing, because that means that he's pissed that we're
Dude, that's
working
so funny.
for God, right?
Bro, my mom. Okay, growing up, anytime anything would happen, she burned the supa. She dropped a plate. She, whatever. Anytime anything would happen, she'd always be like, Satana.
And apoya mi a Satana.
Yeah. She'd always be like, Satan's attacking.
Ispita.
And I'm like, no, he's not, Mom. You just forgot to bring the damn soup,
right.
And now I'm like, damn it, the freaking camera cut out. Satan's attacking.
Well, at least this is like doing something for God's kingdom. Well, I guess she's feeding
true.
People, so I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know, but maybe it's just a sign of getting older. I don't know, but we're more sensitive towards God. But hey, man, but I'm happy we're doing this. So again, thank you guys. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Adios.